Made the Yankees the class of the sport, making champagne the drink of choice, ringing up 7 championships during his reign. Winning was his driving force. No substitute, any way possible. Tonight, his efforts make George Steinbrenner a part of forever. And tonight, George Steinbrenner will enter a rarefied piece of real estate where every Yankee wants to one day end up, and that is in Monument Park, as George Steinbrenner will have the 7th monument in Monument Park, and he is, as I said, a part of forever. On a very special night here at Yankee Stadium, we welcome you to a live presentation of Yankees baseball. There's going to be a moving ceremony on the field, obviously, when they do unveil the monument. Along with my partner, John Flaherty, I'm Michael Kay. It's going to be a moving night, obviously. This is a game where it's a battle for first place, but, John, only George Steinbrenner could actually upstage that.
You're right, Michael. I mean, you're excited about the Rays coming in, playing the Yankees for first place in the American League East, but you get a sense here with the electricity and the crowd and the anticipation. It is all about Mr. Steinbrenner tonight.
They're going to have a procession out to center field where they remove that Yankee logo banner that we showed you earlier, and they will unveil the monument. Now, one of George Steinbrenner's favorite players was Yankee captain Derek Jeter, and our very own Kimberly Jones earlier caught up with Derek.
What does tonight mean to you, the team, the organization?
That's a special night. It's a big night for the organization. It goes without saying what Boss has meant to the organization. Anytime you talk about erecting a monument for someone in Yankee history, that's pretty big. So we're looking forward to the festivities.
When you think of the men already in Monument Park, to know that George Steinbrenner will join them tonight, what's your reaction to that part of this?
He deserves it as much as any player or any member of this organization, because when he got this team and what he's brought it to, all you have to do is look around this stadium, and he's responsible for that.
The ceremony will include lots of Yankee luminaries like it always does, but to know that Donnie Mattingly and Joe Torre are here, is that special?
It is. For them to come back, I understand they're traveling from across country. For them to come back, it shows how much the Boss has meant to them personally and to their baseball careers.
It really should be an amazing ceremony, very moving as well. Remember, George Steinbrenner bought this team in 1973. At the time, CBS had owned it for a while, and they had not won. They had sunk to the bottom of the American League East. And obviously, George Steinbrenner started spending money, creative ways to make this team what it is. And if you look at this ballpark right now, John, this ballpark is a monument to what George Steinbrenner is about. Across the street, it was the house that Ruth built. This is the house that George built.
Yeah, this is all about George Steinbrenner's home. He's going to be honored here tonight. And, Michael, just quickly, from a player's standpoint, lucky enough to play for Mr. Steinbrenner for 3 years. Obviously, it was all about winning. He expected it, but he gave the players every resource to go out there and get the job done.
And you hear that so often from players that came from other organizations, John. It's just a little bit different here.
It is different. I mean, the expectation's obviously a lot higher, but when you have an owner who's not afraid to spend money, not afraid to approve a big trade at the deadline and bring in the best players in the game, you run through a wall for that guy.
And one thing that you have learned over the years by being around the Yankees is there's a level of excellence that's demanded. Not expected, it's demanded. And if you can't reach that level of excellence and do the due diligence to get there, George Steinbrenner would make you pay for that, John. And I think that expectation from him pushed people to the limit that they did do their jobs a little bit harder. They worked a little bit longer, and they put in the extra hour because they never wanted to have a question that he would ask that they didn't have the answer to.
I think every employee of the organization felt it. I know as a player you felt it. When Mr. Steinbrenner was in the building, it was a little bit different. The expectations were a little bit higher. I was lucky enough to have met him a few times, had some very nice conversations. I think the thought of the man and how dominating he could be was a little more intimidating than he actually was. Actually a great baseball man.
And what's very, very interesting is toward his later years, sometimes I would talk to him. I said, you should go down on the field and get introduced. He goes, no, people don't like me. They wouldn't cheer me. I said, you don't understand. That's all turned around. You are now beloved in this city, and you would get a huge ovation. Well, George Steinbrenner is somewhere now watching this, and he's going to see the ovation that he gets when his monument is unveiled out in Monument Park. Now let's toss it to Yankee Public Address announcer Paul Olden to start the ceremonies. Paul?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Yankee Stadium. On July 13th, the New York Yankees lost their beloved owner, George M. Steinbrenner III, at the age of 80. Tonight, the Yankees would like to take some time to remember the boss, and will be unveiling a monument in his honor in Monument Park. the first monument to be unveiled in the new Yankee Stadium. At this time, we ask you to please direct your attention to the area behind home plate as we welcome the Steinbrenner family to the field. New York Yankees general partner and co-chairperson Hank Steinbrenner, Jacqueline Steinbrenner, Julia Steinbrenner, New York Yankees general partner and vice chairperson Jennifer Steinbrenner Swindle, Steve Swindle, Haley Swindle, Stephen Swindle, New York Yankees general partner and vice chairperson Jessica Steinbrenner, New York Yankees chief international officer and executive vice president Felix Lopez, New York Yankees coordinator of marketing and fan services Elizabeth Malloy, Jennifer Malloy, New York Yankees managing general partner and co-chairperson Hal Steinbrenner, Christina Steinbrenner. And here to escort our final family member is a man who was a dear friend and who, over the past 37 years, had a very close personal and working relationship with George Steinbrenner as two of the longest tenured owners in baseball history. Escorted by Commissioner Seelig and his wife Sue Seelig, please welcome Yankees Vice Chairperson and the wife of George Steinbrenner, Joanne Steinbrenner. Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention now to the Diamond Vision screen in center field for a special video tribute to George M. Steinbrenner III.
When you put the pinstripes on, you're not just putting a baseball uniform on. You're wearing tradition and you're wearing pride. And you're going to wear it the right way.
Everyone knows what the boss has meant to our organization, but more importantly to the game of baseball, and he will be deeply missed.
He was great. He was great. I can't say anything anymore. It's sad for me today.
I'm going to really miss him. I've had some great times with him, and he's just been a great owner. And I mean, New York should be very proud that they had him.
I love George Steinbrenner, and I think that you know, he belongs in the Hall of Fame.
He is a real warrior. He's a real deal.
He was tough, definitely was a fierce competitor as far as the organization and wanting us to win and be competitive. But he was nothing but never short of great to me and to my family.
In my growing up years and my schooling years, I've had some tremendous mentors that I am so proud of and I love dearly. But this man goes far beyond all that in his teaching through his example of paying attention to detail, getting the answer if you don't have it, using the resources that are out there, and putting it all together with all the people to make something like this be not only successful, a wonderful environment to be in and to share and to contribute to and be a part of.
He is definitely the face of the New York Yankees and forever will be. And growing up here in Tampa, Mr. Steinbrenner has done so much for our community. He was this larger-than-life human being. In my opinion, the greatest owner in team sports.
We follow his example. I think I opened my foundation because of him. He's a mentor. He's been, he's always give back. He's always been there for me, and I want to say thank you to Mr. Steinbrenner because he's been unbelievable to my foundation and to myself.
One of the things that is not talked enough about Mr. Steinbrenner is how giving of a man he is, and a man that really cared about people and tried to change people's lives, whether it was a first chance, a second chance, or a third chance. And that's who he really was.
I think George Steinbrenner has done more for baseball than any owner in history. I might be a little biased because I'm a Yankee now, but at the same time, when I was growing up and hearing about what he was doing with the Yankees and to see what he's built now, he's built the most incredible franchise in sports.
It's very simply said, and I think it's well known that George Steinbrenner is the greatest owner that's ever lived. And 27 World Championships is a pretty good backup to that. As a player, you dream about playing for an owner like Mr. Steinbrenner, and what he's been able to do for the Yankees is something that will be revered forever.
Can anybody comprehend getting their hands on the New York Yankees franchise like George Steinbrenner did and elevating it to such greater heights? It's an impossible thing to do, but that's what he did. George Steinbrenner is the greatest owner in the history of all sports, and his legacy will never be matched.
How can you ever honor him enough? I think that the way he'd want us to do it is go out and try to win another championship.
I don't like losing. Winning's important to me. It's second. It's second to breathing. Breathing's first, winning's second.
I'm just not an entertainer, so the way I see it, if I'm not an entertainer, I must fall into that other category. Beloved Americans from another walk of life.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Steinbrenner family will now enter golf carts for the processional to Monument Park.
George Steinbrenner was saying in that piece, John, that the only thing more important than winning to him was breathing. And I got to tell you, when I would see him around his grandkids, I think his family meant a little bit more than winning. So this would mean a lot to him to have his entire family here, his grandchildren. And he was not the boss around his grandchildren. He would melt in front of them and, hop them on his knee and things like that. He was just like any other proud grandparent. So obviously that would be a big deal for him that his family is here to honor him today. There's Hank Steinbrenner and the commissioner of baseball, Bud Selig. Hank is George's oldest son and his daughters. And there's Hal and his wife. And right behind Hal is George's widow, Joanne. And she's sitting next to Yogi Berra. And the New York Yankee team will lead the processional out towards center field. And the crowd here at the stadium, which opened last year to a championship, most of them on their feet. And in talking to his family, it meant the world to him that they won a championship the first year here at the ballpark, and he was home watching, and his son Hal on the podium said, "Dad, this one is for you." So this is the final time that George Steinbrenner will be honored in this ballpark with the greatest honor that the Yankees can bestow, a monument in Monument Park. And then you see great Yankees following behind the Steinbrenner family. You see Reggie Jackson and David Wells. There's Reggie. And David Wells as well. Don Mattingly is on the field along with Joe Torre. And those two gentlemen traveled all the way from Los Angeles. And there's Chino Martinez in front of Donnie. And now Donnie's face is on the screen, and he's going to get a huge ovation. There's Joe Torre, who managed for 12 years for George Steinbrenner and won 4 championships, and every year made the postseason. And Joe and Donnie were extended invites from Lon Trost, the COO of the Yankees, and they both quickly accepted. The Dodgers played yesterday, they're off today, and they will play tomorrow. And right after the ceremony, both men will hop on a plane back to Los Angeles. And that's Joe with his wife, Allie. And now his picture is on the scoreboard, and he gets a big ovation as well as he waves to the crowd. In front of him, you see Gene Michael, a confidant of George Steinbrenner's for all those years as a player and a coach and an executive, and Roy White as well on George's first 2 championship teams. And to the left of Roy is Billy Martin's widow, Jill Martin. And Don Mattingly, who was just named manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers for next year. I'm sure that would mean the world to George Steinbrenner, who used to call him our version of Jack Armstrong. And now the family will make its way into Monument Park. And they will be led by Yankee Hall of Famer and the iconic Lawrence Peter Yogi Berra. And it has to be a very emotional moment for the family. They shared their father with the New York Yankees. And now this will be one of the greatest honors that anyone involved with the Yankees could ever receive.
Ladies and gentlemen, the family will now unveil the George M. Steinbrenner III Monument.
Steinbrenner, you can pull the rope right there. Pull it down.
The monument reads, George M. Steinbrenner III, July 4th, 1930, July 13th, 2010. New York Yankees principal owner, the boss, 1973, 2010. Purchased the New York Yankees on July 3rd, 1973. A true visionary who changed the game of baseball forever. He was considered the most influential owner in all of sports. In his 37 years as principal owner, the Yankees posted a Major League best .566 winning percentage, while winning 11 American League pennants and 7 World Series titles, becoming the most recognizable sports brand in the world. A devoted sportsman, he was vice president of the United States Olympic Committee, a member of the Baseball Hall of Fame's Board of Directors, and a member of the NCAA Foundation Board of Trustees. A great philanthropist whose charitable efforts were mostly performed without fanfare. He followed a personal motto of, the greatest form of charity is anonymity. Dedicated by the New York Yankees, September 20th, 2010. George M. Steinbrenner III will never be forgotten, and this monument will serve as a lasting reminder of his legacy to everyone that visits Yankee Stadium.
Boy, does Frank Sinatra's song sum up the life of George Steinbrenner. He certainly did it his way. I'm sure he had regrets. He'd say he had a few, and there were some missteps along the way. But what he did was he built the Yankees into the most iconic brand in the history of professional sports. Obviously, the Yankees were an important brand when he purchased them, but he took them to even greater heights. And his family, he leaves them behind with the grandchildren and a legacy of winning with the Yankees that is unmatched with any other professional baseball franchise and any other sports franchise as well. So George Steinbrenner lives forever out in Monument Park, and it must be a very emotional moment for his family and those that knew him.
I think you said it best, Michael. I mean, the family showing some emotions, and all of us really only knew Mr. Steinbrenner professionally, product that he wanted out on the field, but his family obviously touched by the ceremony out in Monument Park, and the players look like they're enjoying it as well.
Obviously, George Steinbrenner touched the game of baseball and his philanthropic efforts throughout the country. And he did things that you just didn't hear about. Now, when he passed away on July 13th of this year, you started to hear those stories come out. He would do things, but he didn't want you to say anything about it. He didn't want anybody to know that he did them. And he did live by the ethos, if you do something good for somebody, and more than you and that person know about it, then you did it for the wrong reason. So George Steinbrenner did those things, and not many knew. And I'm sure there are stories out there that are still to be told. And he touched people in many, many ways. And everybody here in this ballpark, in their own way, has been touched by George Steinbrenner and what he's meant and the team that he's built and the ballpark that he constructed as well with his own money. And he leaves this earth as the owner of a defending world championship team. And I always thought that that was somewhat poetic, John, because the day he passed away, the Yankees were in first place. The day he passed away, the Yankees were world champions, and that was the most important thing to him.
Well, this new stadium, a tribute to Mr. Steinbrenner, the World Series champions last year, another tribute, and you see number 42 bearing down on that plaque.
Most of the team is gone. They're walking back to the dugout, but Mariano Rivera in a moment by himself. And then Tino Martinez as well. A very moving moment, seeing Rivera frozen there. And David Wells touching the monument as well. Lee Mazzilli and Gene Michael. Obviously a beautiful monument with George Steinbrenner's autograph emblazoned on the bottom. And there's Reggie Jackson and Yogi Berra, two Hall of Famers very close to George Steinbrenner. You know what, everybody? There's a game to come. And that's the way George Steinbrenner would want it. He'd probably tell his team, go out. It's a battle for first place. You better win. Well, we'll see if they do. Yankees against the Tampa Bay Rays in a moment as they unveil George Steinbrenner's monument here in Yankee Stadium. We'll be back with baseball in a second on Yes. George M. Steinbrenner III, owner of the New York Yankees for 37 years. Past players came back. Obviously, his family was there, and they unveiled the monument, which will stand for as long as his ballpark stands out in the center field Monument Park area. There, his 4 children and his widow, as they celebrate the life of George Steinbrenner. And now there's a baseball game to come here at Yankee Stadium, the first of 4 games between the Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays. So let's get you set for the game. We'll tell you about the pitching matchup. Tonight's New York Lottery pitching matchup shapes up this way. Ivan Nova is going to go for the New York Yankees, and for the Tampa Bay Rays, Matt Garza. Garza 14-8 with a 3.88. Nova, the rookie, 1-0 with a 4.30 ERA. Last time out, he pitched very well early, John, but then it turned to late.
Yeah, his last outing against the Tampa Bay Rays, in the first 4 innings, he only gave up 1 hit in that ball game and looked very comfortable at Tropicana Field, dominating a good curveball early in the ball game. It's been a pitch that has really come on in his brief major league career, but then in the 5th inning, things got away from him a little bit. 6 earned runs. The game kind of sped up for him in the 5th inning and was not able to limit the damage. So a lot of good in that performance, but 1 bad inning.
Well, let's see how close this series has been this year. 8 wins for the Rays and 6 for the Yankees in 14 games. These are the final 4 games of the regular season starting tonight. The Rays have averaged 5.1 runs a game. The Yankees just under that. The average 260 for the Rays, 251 for the Yanks. Home runs are even, and the Rays have pitched slightly better than the New York Yankees. Well, the Stars will be out tonight. These are 2 of the best teams in baseball. The Yankees a half game in front in the American League East. These 4 games, a battle for first place. When we get back, lineups, first pitch, baseball. New for 2011 today, you're a Honda dealer. By Bank of America, the official bank of Major League Baseball. And by Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey. Please drink responsibly. Well, John, we're calling it a battle for first place, and I think there would be much more urgency attached if the wild card wasn't a parachute. But it looks as if both teams are going to make it into the playoffs, but it is important to have home field advantage.
There's a lot to play for in this series, obviously, in the rest of the year, and you can see the standings as they are right now. Yankees a half game up. Both of these clubs are going to be in the postseason. Both clubs hoping that they meet up in the American League Championship Series, and you can look at these 4 games of maybe a little preview and send a little message one way or the other. both clubs struggling a little bit right now. We'll see what happens over the next couple of days.
You know, I asked Joe Girardi, is there anything you hold back? He said, you know what, baseball's not like football. It's not like I'm going to unleash the triple option. He said, so you just try to win the game, and that's the way you do it. So there's no secrets that could really be hidden now.
No, and after all the games that these two teams have played during the course of the year, you're not going to hide anything. And I guess you saw it best firsthand, the series in Tampa. Very evenly matched. All three games were close. And I think it just tells you a lot about both of these ball clubs. Athletic, know how to win, and great pitching staffs.
Now, the Yankees come off a poor road trip, John, but the key for them was to get healthy. And it looks like they got Gardner healthy. Looks like they got Swisher healthy. They gave Mark Teixeira most of 2 days off. Alex Rodriguez had yesterday off, other than a pinch hitting appearance where he walked and was quickly lifted for a pinch runner. I think the Yankees' most important chore right now is to get healthy and be ready. And Andy Pettitte pitching well yesterday was important.
I think that's the most important thing that happened. Obviously, you didn't want to lose that game late yesterday, but Andy Pettitte today feeling a lot better than he felt yesterday. He had a great performance, but the day after, very important, he came out of it in good shape, and I think that's what the Yankees are excited about. He'll get a couple of more starts, get his pitch count up, but he looked very sharp yesterday.
Now, the Yankees have played a lot of close games of late. Since September 8th, look at the one-run games they played. Now, it's a little disconcerting that of those one-run games, they lost 5 of them, and then they ended up losing 3. They were also 4 walk-off losses. So the Yankees, with their full complement of players, they expect to play better and win those games, and we'll see how they do in this 4-game set against the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, let's go back to the public address announcer here at Yankee Stadium, Paul Olden.
Down to the area behind second base. George Steinbrenner had a long-standing relationship with the United States Military Academy at West Point. And tonight, in honor of this relationship and his patriotism, the colors will be presented by the West Point Color Guard. Now please direct your attention to the microphone behind home plate and welcome renowned singer, actor, songwriter, and conductor Frank Sinatra Jr. He will now sing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
John, was it just me, or was that eerily similar to what his dad would sound
incredible.
like? I mean, the same inflection and the way he delivered the word. Wow. Obviously, the voice is slightly different, but that is stunning, and he looks like his dad as well. Just an amazing performance of our national anthem. Very much like his father, the legendary Frank Sinatra. So that's our national anthem, and we are almost ready for baseball here at Yankee Stadium. The Yankees are on the field. Ivan Nova will begin his warm-up, so let's take a look at the Rays starting lineup, which is presented, as always, by our good friends at Lexus. John Jaso, the rookie catcher, will lead off, batting second. And playing second, Ben Zobrist. Carl Crawford in left field hits third. Cleaning up and playing third base, Evan Longoria. Dan Johnson, the DH, will bat fifth. Batting sixth and playing right field, Matt Joyce. Carlos Pena at first base will bat seventh. The number 8 hitter is the center fielder, B.J. Upton. And Jason Bartlett, the shortstop, will bat ninth.
That Rays lineup is going to go to work against young right-hander Ivan Nova. We'll take a look at his numbers on the year. Be his 8th game and his 6th start, 1-0 with a 4.3, 9 walks and 29 in the 3rd innings. We'll take a look at our pitcher scouting report on Nova. He's got an opportunity here in this 4-game series to set the tone tonight with a quality performance. He'll be facing the Rays back-to-back games, and the last time he gave up 6 earned runs in 4 2/3, so wants to improve on that. And he can improve on it by slowing it down. Things got away from him in that 5th inning in that ball game. The game started to speed up a little bit. A young right-hander has to slow the game down a little bit better.
Let's check out the defense that will be behind Nova, and it's brought to you by Mercedes. And in the outfield for the Yankees, Gardner, Granderson, and Swisher left to right. Infield, A-Rod, Jeter, Cano, and Teixeira. Cervelli is behind the plate, and Ivan Nova, the rookie, is on the mound. IOTV offers you incredible HD picture and sound. HD is free with IOTV, the official HD service provider of Yankees baseball on Yes. Yankees just finished a road trip. They were 3-6 through 3 cities. They suffered 4 walk-off losses on that trip through Texas, Tampa Bay, and Baltimore. And that was the most walk-off losses during any road trip, or 9 or fewer games in franchise history. Now, the last time the Yankees had 4 walk-off losses on a road trip of any length was during a 10-game swing through Cleveland, Detroit, Minnesota in May of 1970. But remember, a lot of that road trip, the Yankees did not play their full complement of players as they were trying to get them healthy, and some of the games were not managed the way you would manage a game that they had to win. Not giving them an excuse, but that certainly is one. So John Jaso digs in. Ivan Nova is ready. We are ready for baseball here at Yankee Stadium. The rookie right-hander winds, kicks, and deals. Let's do it. And the first pitch is a strike, and we are underway.
You can feel the electricity in the crowd tonight with that great ceremony, and obviously the Rays coming in here contending for the American League East, and you have a young righty on the mound trying to set the tone. Good curveball early. That has been the pitch that has been improved since he's got to the major league level. Has to work his fastball in and out to both sides, mix in that curveball, and a good changeup.
Pitch is high. Now Nova gets hit harder as the game goes along. First time through the order, the opponent's at 220. Second time, 273. Third time after that, 364. Now you think he's just getting fatigued as it goes along, John, or are they catching on to what he's doing?
No, I think there's a little combination of a few things. When runners get on base against Nova, like I talked about in the scouting report, the game really speeds up for him. What he needs to do is find a way to slow it down. Step off the mound, regroup, concentrate on one pitch at a time. He comes out of the bullpen attacking the strike zone early, and then maybe starts thinking a little bit too much in the middle of the game.
Tap slowly toward short. Charging is Jeter. Fires. And he gets Jaso for the first out.
Good start for Nova coming back in the count, getting a slow ground ball. A nice play by Derek Jeter coming in, throwing off balance for the first out.
Now here's a number 2 batter, Ben Zobrist. Sometimes there's no rhyme or reason to stats, but we give them because they're there, and there has to be some interpretation that somebody might have. Nova has struggled against 2 hole hitters in the lineup. They're 7 for 16 against him, 438. And Zobrist, the number 2 hitter, takes a strike. Zobrist is slumping. 2 hits in his last 24 at-bats. Chop foul. So this game gets underway right around 7:35, kind of like the old days. I was growing up, games would start at 8, then they moved them to 7:30, and now they are 7 o'clock starts. But because of the ceremony, 7:35, 0-2 pitch is taken for a called strike 3.
Mentioned the curveball, a pitch that has been improved with the work of pitching coach Dave Isle, and you see it's up in the zone. Home plate umpire Tim McClellan makes the call. High strike for strike 3.
Here's Carl Crawford. 8 for his last 24. Pitches outside, 1-0. Home plate umpire is Tim McClellan, so he does not call strikes with any urgency. He takes his time, sometimes frustrating to batters, pitchers, and announcers. Ball is grounded foul. And to fans as well. McClellan, the home plate ump, he's been around forever. Mike Everett at first, Adrian Johnson at second, and Andy Fletcher is at third. Tim McClellan's been around so long, he was the home plate umpire for the Pine Tar game. Crawford lines one to center field. It's a base hit. So a 2-out single for Crawford.
Carl Crawford always a threat to run when he gets on the bases. 43 stolen bases on the year. He gets fastball up and just drives it to the middle of the field. This is a test for Nova already. Talking to Dave Island before the game, the pitching coach, he said, you know, when runners get on base, Nova really pays a lot of attention, maybe gets distracted, and with a guy like Crawford, it'd be a good early test. You have 2 outs, you'll pay attention to him, but take care of Longoria. He's really the guy that can hurt you.
Longoria, 1 ribby away from 100. 9th in the American League with 99. Keeping Crawford close.
Watching Nova's delivery, I don't think he's ever going to be a guy who's quick to home plate. You pay attention to the runner, change your times, but really keep your focus on the batter. Don't let the running game distract you and get you out of your rhythm that you had the first 2 outs in this inning.
Swing and miss.
Michael, it's interesting, different philosophies that coaching staffs have. You see a good first pitch fastball, a little bit of movement down. I remember the Joe Torre and Mel Stottlemyre days. Mel Stottlemyre was one of those pitching coaches that says, I don't care about the running game. You take care of the hitter. I know your stuff is good enough to beat him. If you beat the hitter, the runners aren't going to make a difference on the base paths.
Swing and a miss. Up foul tip, so the count 0-2.
Joe Girardi and his staff are the opposite. They pay a lot of attention to the running game. Tony Pena, next catcher. Joe Girardi, next catcher. Really concentrate on that part of the game.
And the Yankees have not been that great at throwing out attempted base stealers this year. The 0-2. Just missed outside of the breaking ball.
A perfect 0-2 pitch if you're a pitcher here. Curveball down just out of the zone. Cervelli tries to bring it back. Take a look at where it crosses the plate, just underneath the knees. Perfect 0-2 pitch. Longoria didn't bite.
One-two. Fly ball, shallow left, coming on Gardner, and that'll do it. So a scoreless first inning for Nova. No runs a hit, and 1 man left. Rays nothing, and the New York Yankees coming to bat against Matt Garza. Yankees starting lineup, which is presented by Lexus. The captain, the shortstop, Derek Jeter, leads off. Batting second and playing center is Curtis Granderson. Mark Teixeira at first base will hit third. Cleaning up and playing third base, Alex Rodriguez. Robinson Cano, the second baseman, bats fifth. Batting sixth and playing right field, Nick Swisher. Lance Berkman, the DH, will bat seventh. Batting eighth and playing left field, Brett Gardner. And Francisco Cervelli is going to bat ninth and catch.
The Yankee lineup going to have a tough night dealing with Matt Garza out on the mound. Good quality right-handed pitcher. Take a look at his numbers on the year. It'll be his 30th start, 14-8, an ERA under 4, 172 hits and 185 and 2/3 innings. We'll take a look at our pitcher scouting report. Going through a little rough stretch lately. His last 2 outings, he's given up 6 runs in both of those ball games back-to-back. He has not done that in his career, and he has number 1 type stuff. A good fastball, and he's proud of it. And a quality slider. If he has a slider, he's going to be tough to beat. And probably not real happy that there's a healthy Nick Swisher in the lineup. He hit 6 for 13, which is a batting average of .462 against Garza. 3 home runs included in that.
All right, the Rays defense is brought to you by Mercedes. In the outfield, you've got Crawford, Upton, and Matt Joyce. That's left to right. Infield, Longoria, Bartlett, Zobrist, and Pena. Third to first. Jaso behind the plate, and Garza is on the mound. So Jeter will dig in. Derek had a much better road trip than he had his previous homestand, and then the road trip before that he was 10 for 35. And the average at 263 now. Pitch inside, 1-0.
Just like Nova, Garza facing the Yankees back-to-back games. Gave up 2 home runs his last outing against the Yankees and 6 earned runs in 4 2/3. Rough outing.
Driven out to right center. Upton makes the play smoothly. Lopes over there for the first out. Let's look at the game time weather conditions presented by Bigelow Tea. It's a beautiful night, 67 degrees, almost fall-like, 41% humidity. Winds out of the northwest at 13 miles per hour, and the forecast is for clear skies. Here's Curtis Granderson, 9 for 36 on the road trip. Pitch is high. Scored 7 runs over his last 5 games, and he's being moved into that cushy number 2 spot in the Yankee lineup between Jeter and between Teixeira. I know Nick Swisher loved hitting there, but Swisher now batting 6 behind Cano.
Yeah, it could be the greatest spot to hit in the American League, or maybe all of baseball, behind Jeter, in front of Teixeira and Alex Rodriguez. You're going to get a lot of pitches to hit.
Driven out to center field. Upton went back and then comes in to make the play. 2 outs.
Little breeze coming in here. It didn't look like Curtis Granderson had his ace swing. Maybe gets jammed a little bit. Fools Upton, but you can see the ball dying a little bit. Looks like you're really going to have to hit it to get a home run tonight as a breeze gently blowing in. Upton with enough athletic ability to make the play.
Here's Mark Teixeira. Mark 5 for his last 30 on the road trip. Pitch outside, so they have the shift on for him. 3 infielders on the right side. The second baseman, Zobrist, playing in short right field. And Longoria playing for a shortstop would play up the middle. And grounded right into the teeth of the shift. Garza covering, and running into him is Teixeira. So you score that 4-1 to end the inning. A 7-pitch inning for Matt Garza and the Rays as the Yankees go down in order. At the end of 1 here at the stadium, the Yankees and the Rays are scoreless on yes. think that this series will determine the American League East champion. You can text your vote to 58772. Standard text messaging rates apply. Here are your choices. Is it 1 for yes, 2 for no? I'm not sure I think it will determine it. I think 4-game sets are usually split. Dan Johnson fouls it away. Count 1-1.
Dan Johnson had a big year at AAA, now hitting 5th for the Rays. 6 home runs already.
2 of them in one game against Phil Hughes. The difference in that game. That was a game that Phil Hughes did very, very well. He made those 2 mistakes.
Yeah, he made those mistakes on fastballs down and into Johnson. I'd be surprised if the Yankees even mess around with that spot during this series. We've already seen 3 changeups in a row from Nova.
Grounded to first. Teixeira flips to Nova. One down. That'll bring up Matt Joyce. You know, if you look at the Rays lineup, John, the averages aren't great. The names don't jump out at you. But then you look, and they're the second highest scoring team in the American League after the Yankees. So they get clutch hits, but the names don't knock you out, and the numbers don't knock you out.
Yeah, and a lot of speed, too. I mean, they got some guys who can steal a lot of bases, aggressive on the base paths. Some power mixed in there with Joyce and Pena, Longoria. Zobrist is having a down year. Club is all about pitching and defense. They got a great bullpen this year. It's probably the difference. Quality rotation and a #1 starter right there. We'll match up against CC Sabathia again in this series.
Count 1 and 2. Nova working quickly. Seems like he's confident on the mound. Yankees 790. Oh, now the Rays have dropped below the Red Sox, so I apologize. Red Sox are second and the Rays are third. Shattered bat and a ground ball to third. And Joyce is out for the second out. But the Rays have 161 stolen bases, and that's #1 in baseball. They're almost like that basketball team that presses 94 feet, John. They want you to make mistakes.
They're going to force the action on the bases. You mentioned the stolen bases leading the American League. When you come in and you face the Rays, or they come into your building here in New York, you're going to face quality arms in the starting rotation, and then they match up very well at the end of the bullpen. Soriano closing it out. Very comfortable playing 1-run ball games.
Pena takes a pitch inside. Pena's numbers have dropped drastically. Obviously, 202 is not what you expect from him, and this is the last year of his contract with the Rays. In all likelihood, he's not coming back. He does have 27 homers and 81 ribbies.
Such a streaky hitter, and the Rays hoping that he gets hot at the right time down the stretch here in September and then into the postseason. Meanwhile, Michael Nova looks very comfortable tonight. A good fastball with some movement, a quality changeup right there to Pena. We've already talked about the curveball, so far so good early on.
So the count 2-1 on Pena. 2 outs here in the top of the second. There's no score. And the pitch. Missed outside. 3-1.
Good pitch, good call. Francisco Cervelli looks like he's having a little conversation with Tim McClellan behind the plate. Curveball. Outer half looked like it came back for a strike. Did not get the call. I like the confidence Nova has to throw that pitch for a strike behind in the count.
Another change to it at 3-1.
It's an even better pitch, a 3-1 count, a fastball count. Nova has a good fastball, but he decides to go with a quality changeup. Pena out in front.
Shift is on for Pena with 3 Yankees on the right side of the infield. Place is jammed tonight, a Monday evening in New York City. Pena does strike out. He and Upton swing and miss a lot. Like that. Pena down on strikes. And Nova has worked a 1-2-3 inning. We go to the bottom of the second. We're going to talk with the Commissioner of Baseball, Bud Selig, next when we return on Yes.
Thrown a lot of those baseballs with Mr. Commissioner's signature on it. Great to have him here in the booth with us.
There he is, Bud Selig. Hey, Bud, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. I knew it meant a lot for you to be here for the unveiling of the monument. Tell me why.
Wouldn't have missed it. I had a 37-year relationship with George, and very close with the family. We did a lot together. You know, it's interesting. There were few subjects that George and I actually agreed on, and I mean that it is true. He used to kid me a lot about, you know, I'm running the Milwaukee, ordered the Milwaukee Cub, and of course he has the Yankees, but never did it affect our relationship. And so, somebody here told me tonight, who worked in the front office, he said, I want to pay a compliment. George said, the one guy I can always trust is Bud Selig. And I felt the same way about George. One thing about George, when George gave you his word, that was it. There was nothing else to talk about. So, well, we wouldn't have missed tonight under any circumstances.
Now, you guys came into the game about the same time when you bought the Seattle team and moved.
Yeah, I was here in '70. He actually bought the club in December of '72, so I had 2 years on it. But he came in '73, and then it led to, boy, we went through a lot of stuff over the next 30 years or so. It was terrific.
The 0-2 to Alex Rodriguez, I would have paid money, Commissioner, because I remember the Old County Stadium when I was a writer, and the Yankees would play the Brewers, right? And you two would sit in the box together just to hear the conversations that were going on.
I could sit here all night, but I'll tell you a great story. This happened in about '82 or '83. I was honored at County Stadium by a suburb, neither here nor there. It was a nice little ceremony, and everybody applauded, and that was it. I came back to the box.
Alex grounds one to third. Longoria, the long throw. Alex hustling down the line, so the calf feels good, one away.
I came up to the box, and there was George, and he said, you know, it's really not fair. And I said, what is that? He said, everybody in the world thinks you're this nice guy, and I'm this. They should hear you during games. They ought to hear the things you say. And he was right. You to watch games. I was actually worse than he was. And in '81, we played him in the playoffs. Yeah. Ooh, I'll never forget that. They won the first 2 games in Milwaukee, and I was mad. We came to Yankee Stadium, won the next 2, and I was in the clubhouse and left after the game, and the only 2 people, the elevator opens, there is George. And it's just me and George now and he says, well, buddy, I guess this is the the way it's supposed to be, and they did win the 5th game, and a great game. But it was, we watched a lot of games together, and he also had a funny line. He said, boy, if I were going out in the field in New York right now, there'd be 3 weeks of garbage thrown at me. How can you do that here? And he laughed. But he was great. He was, you always knew where he stood. You may agree, you may disagree. And there were some days where he was difficult, and he would admit that. But you always knew where he stood. And so we forged a relationship with our families and everything else that was really, really special.
Robinson Cano flies out to left field for the second out. Here's Nick Swisher. I got to ask you, Commissioner, how's the game doing?
Game's never been more popular, Michael. Here we are in the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression. I don't think anybody would quarrel. There's a lot of sadness out there. And I think, and I don't want to jinx this, I think we'll beat last year's attendance. And given the circumstances, that's amazing. The average team will draw somewhere between 2.4 and 2.5, which is stunning when you think about it. And so everything you look at, every criteria, the game has never been this popular. Now, you know, not that we're not without problems, because, as my friend Bart Giamatti used to say, baseball's a metaphor for life. And, you know, you're going to have some problems. We've worked our way through it. Everything is just working well. We have the wild card is working again very well. You remember the criticism I took back in the 90s. And but it's worked out great. A great race in the National League West. Still Atlanta and Philadelphia playing tonight and battling. And here you've got the Yankees and Tampa battling to win the division, get a home field advantage. So, Michael, John, I couldn't be happy with the way the year's going. The year's been great.
Atlanta and Philly 1-1, top of the 4th inning. Now, we've got, I got to tell you, we've got some questions to ask you. Can you stay for another inning?
Absolutely.
Because the Yankees are going out too quickly.
No, I understand.
Maybe they'll get a little rally.
And the answer is, I knew, because when I come, this usually happens, I'm glad to stay.
Oh, thank you very much. The 2-2 count on Nick Swisher. And Garza deals. Hot shot up the middle. It's a base hit. So Swisher keeps it alive. Now, obviously a hot button issue is instant replay. Because there have been some calls that umpires have made that you go, that's not right, because we have the technology, the slow motion replay. Is instant replay in our future?
Well, I never say never to anything. And we do have some limited form, as you both know. I've been talking to managers and general managers in particular about it, and in spite of what some people tell you, I've very little sentiment for instant replay. Joe Torre and I talked about it here tonight, waiting for the ceremony. And I'm willing to do it, but as you know, and certainly, John, you understand, and Michael, you've covered this for a long time, baseball is a game of pace. And you can't make people sit around for 3 and 4 minutes at a time if you're going to do it forever on everything that happens. You know, I have a thing about not the length of the game so much as the pace of the game. So I'm willing, as always, to look at things, but I'm not wildly enthusiastic about it as we speak.
All right, we're going to keep Commissioner Bud Selig with us. We'll talk more about George Steinbrenner and a couple of other issues in baseball. The Yankees go down, 1 hit, they lead 1. We played 2, there's no score. Yankees and the Rays. Trophy to George Steinbrenner. Thurman Munson, one of George's favorite players, and George had a lot of champagne baths in his time. He won 7 championships in the years that he owned the New York Yankees. We're here in the top of the 3rd inning, no score. On the night they unveiled the monument for George Steinbrenner in Monument Park, and we're lucky enough to be joined by the Commissioner of Baseball, Bud Selig. What was it like handing that trophy to George so many times?
It was amazing, and the first time that I did it, given our history, as you can see in that picture, he wept and he broke down. But he had said to me beforehand, I had just come downstairs and it had happened, and he came in and he said, "Buddy, I might not be able to control myself tonight." I said, "George, do what you want to do. It's okay." And I said, just let me get out of here because I don't want to have champagne dumped on me. And he laughed. "Don't worry about that." And as soon as I was giving it to him, boy, he just broke down and cried. It was I know how much it meant to him. It was 96, and it had been a while, and I know how frustrated he was. So he was a real warrior. You know, he and I spent a lot of time. We kidded a lot. Obviously, he loved football too, as you well know, and so did I. So every year we'd have 2 friendly little wagers. He had the Ohio State University Buckeyes and Tampa, and I had the Green Bay Packers and the University of Wisconsin. And I must say, George contributed to the Selig family economics. He did all right, but he would bitch and grumble and whine, and but along with everything else, we had a lot of fun.
He did. I mean, I always wondered what he would have been like as a football owner, because he loved football.
He loved football. There's no question about it. I could sit here all night and tell you stories. Right after, maybe a few years after we were here, the Brewers were playing, and he and my wife had dinner. And he said, "I want to introduce you to somebody." He said, "This is my friend Howard Hopalong Cassidy." And I, without cracking a smile, I said, "I've hated you for 20-some years, and I hate you now." And the poor guy looked, and George, for the first time that I had known, said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "We had the great Alan Amici, and this bum still beat us a couple of years, and I'm still mad." Well, he got a big kick out of that, of course. But he did love football.
3-0 count to Jason Bartlett after B.J. Upton strikes out. You mentioned the wild card. Now, I was one of the people that didn't like it, and I like it now. But I'm wondering if it has to be tweaked, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay? This series right here would be for all the marbles, but now it's not, because both teams know, all right, we don't finish first, we're going to be the wild card. Is there something that can be done to ensure that there is something to play for, that there is a great advantage to winning the division and some kind of a disadvantage to winning the wild card?
Well, we've talked about that a lot. The thing, Michael, you have to remember is we only have 1 wild card per league as opposed to the other sports. Right. I mean, we only have 8 teams in the playoffs, so baseball has done great in that regard. You don't, oftentimes the wild card club has a great record all the time, in the 90s for wins and so on and so forth. And we're going to talk about that in the future. That's a very fair question. I still think the home field advantage is great, but should we increase that? Well, we're going to think about that. That's fair to think about. There's no question about it. But the way these 2 clubs have been going, they're playing hard. They're playing awfully hard. I watched the 3 games last week.
Yeah, they were great games.
Great games. Boy, they were great games. Every one of them, really great games. And I'm sure the 4 here.
Yeah, it has to make you proud, I would think, watching a team like Tampa Bay go to the World Series a few years ago and now is competing, because I remember my days in Tampa, the lean years. And, I mean, some of these small market franchises really have graduated.
Well, you know, in fact, that's another subject George and I would say. But George understood it, because I have this theory, John, Michael, that our job is to provide hope and faith in as many places as possible. So here you have San Diego battling San Francisco, Colorado, which is all great. You have the Cincinnati Reds going to win the Central Division. You got the Minnesota Twins having another great year, going to win the Central and the American League. Tampa here. You really have. We have more. I don't call it parity. I call it competitive balance. But either one than we've ever had before. You people talk about, well, but look at this and look at the Yankees, all of which is unfair. We have more competitive balance than ever, and this year it's just been extraordinary.
John Jaso is at the plate, and Bartlett is on first. One out, top of the third inning. There's no score. Is there a concern, Bud? The Yankees obviously contribute a lot to revenue sharing.
Yes,
a
they
lot
do.
of money.
Yes, they
and
do.
there are a lot of teams that spend it, and there are a lot of teams that don't seem like they spend it. How do you police that? Make sure that those teams do spend.
Well, we do police it. Let me try to. At every major league meeting, we bring that subject up, because it is fair. The union I don't think they would mind, just went over all the numbers. They have every number, and they were more than satisfied. And so I keep hearing this, except there's no evidence. And look, just for the very fact that we just talked about Cincinnati and Minnesota and San Diego and Tampa and on and on and on. Look, it's never going to be perfect.
Runner goes, ground ball is second. So they stay out of the double play. 2 outs as Bartlett moves to second.
And so I'm satisfied, but we do police that, and we will police it. Yes, the Yankees do contribute a lot, and I must say, get back to George again, much as he used to grumble about it, when we finally went to revenue sharing, which you have to have in sports, because if you have a team in Pittsburgh or Kansas City or Tampa or so on and so forth, and teams in New York, LA, Chicago, you have to create a level playing field. And the Yankees have been great about it. And obviously they've done their homework very well, too.
Before we end with you in this inning, what do you think George Steinbrenner's legacy is going to be, Bud?
Dynamic owner. Helped change the face of the game. And I think in a most positive sense. And I know, believe me, I was there for all the controversy. And let me say this to you. You asked me at the outset tonight, what's the state of the game? The state of the game, including all the economic changes I've made and everything else, which people over, has never been better. This sport has never been this popular. And so we've adjusted to the system. And George helped this team adjust to the system. So his legacy is really, when you stop and think about it, Michael, overpowering. I mean, George tonight should be very proud of not only how he left the Yankees, but he would agree, most importantly, as always, what he did for baseball.
0-2 count on Zobrist, runner at second, no score, top of the third. Nova deals. Check swing. Did he go? Yes, he did. Third base umpire Andy Fletcher punches him out. Commissioner, always love having you. Thank you for coming by.
Michael, pleasure to see you, John.
Thanks for being here on a special night.
Thank you. Good luck.
All right, we go to the bottom of the third. There's no score. Yankees and the Rays. Journey. 3 more games against the Tampa Bay Rays, all night games. Tomorrow on My 9, then Wednesday and Thursday on Yes. That Thursday game, that's going to be great. Sabathia against Price. The second time they've gone against each other in about a week. And then you got 3 games against the Red Sox as the Yankees finish their regular season here at the stadium. Then on to the road. 3 in Toronto and then 3 in Boston. And then maybe the playoffs. It certainly looks good that way. And it's been a fun season so far, John.
You can't believe it's the last homestand.
gone by fast. So Matt Garza will face Gardner, Cervelli, and Jeter here in the bottom of the third inning. There's no score. Each team with a hit. And Garza deals. 1-0.
Busy night, Michael. You have the ceremony for Mr. Steinbrenner. The commissioner spends a full inning, and we've got a good ball game here. Both pitchers look like they're locked in early.
The 1-0. Pitch is high, 2-0.
Talk about Garza at the open. I mean, this guy, if you're going to face him, you're going to get a lot of fastballs. He is not afraid to challenge hitters, and he's given up some home runs lately, 6 in his last 2 starts. But you have to prove to him that you can hit that fastball before he's going to change his game plan. Power stuff to back it up.
Another strike and a count 2-2. You know, John, there was such limited time with the commissioner, and the replay rule is something I think that's going to live on for a while. Whether or not they should go with a more advanced rule and cover more things. All I know, and this is what I always, when people talk about pacing, which the commissioner said, if the Derek Jeter took place in the bottom of the 9th inning of a World Series game, you couldn't live with yourself that there wasn't replay to show that it didn't hit him. You just couldn't live with yourself. And I think that baseball has to shudder at the thought that there's going to be a controversial play that ends the final game of the World Series that could have been overturned if there was replay.
You know, I keep going back to the thought that I have on replay, and I guess limited replays, giving the umpires a little bit more responsibility, and I guess the crew chiefs responsibility over their crew, that if there is a call that they have any question about in a big spot or a playoff game, that they can go to a camera, either just underneath the dugout or off to the third base or first base camera well, and take a look at it. Let's give the crew chiefs a little bit more responsibility.
Here's Francisco Cervelli. Francisco 9 hits in his last 22 at-bats. And he lines one past Longoria down the left field line. Crawford cuts over, gets it before it goes to the wall, and fires into second as Cervelli has himself a single. Yankees Baseball on Yes is brought to you in part by Pepsi Max, 0 calories, maximum Pepsi taste, and by Blimpie, America's Sub Shop.
Cervelli smokes this ball to left, and then he gets himself caught up coming around first base. Don't know if he would have had a chance to get in for a double, but that little mix-up with his footwork eliminated the thought.
Pitch to Derek Jeter as a strike. Derek flied out to right center in the first inning.
A good swing by Derek Jeter, his first at bat, driving that ball to right center. Did not pick up a base hit, but a classic Jeter swing. Looks like some of those adjustments Kevin Long has been making are starting to pay off.
Runner goes, grounded to third. Longoria fires across the diamond for the second out as Cervelli advances to second.
Cervelli on the move. Derek Jeter chops this. Longoria comes in and plays it nicely on the short hop. It's a tough part of the play, the throw across the diamond, the easy part. Once you come up with it cleanly, a do-or-die play makes it. Throw is the easy part.
So runner in scoring position, and here's Granderson. You know, we said that the number 2 hole in the Yankee lineup could be one of the best spots to hit anywhere in baseball. Well, Granderson His overall average is 246, as you see right there, but he hits 276 when he hits in the 2-hole this year. This is his 19th start here. 21 for 76 with 4 homers and 11 ribbies. You just see better pitches here.
You do, and this is a classic count right here. 2-0, you have first base open, and Garza has a decision. Do you go right at Curtis Granderson, or do you pitch around him, and then you have Teixeira waiting on deck?
High drive, right center, looking up is Upton. See ya! Home run into the Yankee bullpen. A 2-run shot, and the Yankees lead 2-0. Well, you called it, John. He didn't want to go 3-0, especially with Teixeira on deck.
Yeah, you have a decision to make. You're either going to come right at Curtis Granderson with a fastball pretty much right down the middle, or you pitch around him and then you go to work on Mark Teixeira. He decides to go with a fastball down the middle. Granderson, a good swing, both hands on the bat, drives it into the Yankee bullpen for his 20th home run.
Let's take a look at the Coors Light Cold Hard Blast. And that was some blast. No chance for Upton, deep into the bullpen, and the first pitch to Teixeira is outside.
Well, the home run has really been the story for Garza his last couple of starts. 6 home runs his last 2 starts coming into tonight. Now it's 7.
Count 2-0. th home run for Granderson. He's had at least 20 in each of his last 4 seasons. Last year he had 30 with the Tigers. That one is driven out into right center field, but Upton is there, and he'll put it away for the final out of the 3rd. But the Yankees get 2 runs on 2 hits. No errors and nobody left. The big blast off the bat of Curtis Granderson. A 2-0 lead, and the curveball's been an effective pitch for him, John.
Yeah, pitching coach Dave Island said he just quickened up the arm action with the curveball. You get a great look at it there, and it's been a big pitch for him tonight. All of the strikeouts have been on the curveball, 1 up in the zone, a couple down, good sharp action down in the zone, quality pitch.
That was a pitch he could not hold up on, Crawford, so the count 0-1.
Dave Island just said sometimes Nova gets a little lazy with his arm swing with that curveball, and it tends to spin. Not tonight.
2-0 Yankees on Granderson's 2-run home run on a 2-0 pitch with 2 outs in the bottom of the 3rd. Popped up, shallow left. Gardner is there. There's one away. Now, one of the more dramatic aspects of the Steinbrenner Memorial and the monument unveiling was that Joe Torre was here at Yankee Stadium for the first time since he turned down the Yankee contract offer And obviously he and Mattingly being here, traveling all the way from Los Angeles on a day off, I thought that was an emotional part of it. The crowd gave them both a nice hand when they appeared on the Diamond Vision scoreboard. Yankees extended the invite, and both Torrey and Mattingly quickly accepted. The 0-1. And the count is 1-1. And to see all of the former players come back, not all of them, but obviously a great many of them, I think that would have meant the world to George Steinbrenner, and obviously it meant a lot to the crowd to see them as well.
But it was great to see all the guys. Longoria hits a nice ground ball to Robinson Cano. I mean, you don't want to minimize, obviously, Yogi Berra and Reggie Jackson. But Don Mattingly and Joe Torre showing up, got a great ovation. Joe and his wife, Allie. You can tell he's touched, a little emotion.
And there's Donnie.
He's got the California look, doesn't he?
A little soul patch there, yeah, and a little long hair. I like that. He's going to be the manager of the Dodgers next year.
Good for him. Congratulations, Donnie.
And the 1-0. The 2-0. There's a ground ball grabbed there by Cano. And Nova is mowing him down. And he does it on 9 pitches. As the Rays go down in order, we go to the bottom of the 4th. 2-0 Yankees.
Were really the best years of my life professionally. You know, hired me, was always there. Did we get along all the time? No, but it never lasted very long. That we disagreed on. You can't be with somebody for that long without having some disagreements. But I always felt we had a special relationship.
That was Joe Torre speaking before the game, and Don Mattingly sitting next to him. They both held a joint press conference here at the stadium, and I believe, John, that right after the ceremony, and that seemed to be the prevailing thought here at the stadium, right after the ceremony, I think they both boarded a flight back to L.A. because they have a game tomorrow.
Well, big league move, I think, from the Yankees, first of all, inviting Joe Torre, inviting Don Mattingly.
A-Rod was hoping that rolled foul. It didn't, so he is tagged out by Jaso, one away.
Kind of a weird pitch, weird swing right there for Alex Rodriguez. A little slider tapped in front of home plate. Jaso does the right play, gets out in front of home plate, getting this ball in fair territory, and then applying the tag. You wonder why Alex Rodriguez didn't break out of the box thinking it's going to spin or hit foul territory. It does not. It's an easy out. But getting back to Joe Torre, classy move by the Yankees, bringing him back for this ceremony, along with Don Mattingly, and obviously got a great reception. I've heard that Joe Torre got here quite early this afternoon, 3 o'clock maybe?
He got here at 3 o'clock. That one is lined out to center. And he and Mattingly got out of a car at the same time, and a friend of ours was getting in right behind them. And they were walking into the new ballpark, and from what our friend told us, they both looked at each other and said, this is weird. And not that they're back in Yankee Stadium, but they've never been in this ballpark. Last year, Joe's managing the Dodgers, and Donnie is his hitting coach, so it had to be a little odd for them because the place that used to be Yankee Stadium is now becoming Heritage Park. And that's a look at a jam-packed Yankee Stadium tonight. I thought that Brian Cashman probably said it best this weekend in Baltimore when he said, you can't take away from what Joe Torre meant to this organization and the 4 championships and the job that he did in the 12 years here, and he'll always be welcome at Yankee Stadium. And obviously it's been well documented that it was at times acrimonious parting of the ways. That one is bounced up there. And Yankees offered Joe a contract with some incentive money, and he said he didn't want to have an incentive contract, which he had in other contracts, but he didn't want to have that. So he decided to leave, and then the book was written, and there were some things said in the book that people in the organization didn't like, and you thought that the relationship would be fractured forever. But for the Yankees to reach out, as you said, John, to make that gesture to both Mattingly and Joe, I thought it was great, and it's a mending offense.
Yeah, somebody had to make the move, and like I said, it's a big league move by the Yankees to reach out. And I don't think there was any question that if Joe Torre or Don Mattingly was available, or were available, which they were going to make the trip.
And quite a resume that Joe Torre had in his 12 seasons here. And he said they were the best years of his professional life. And they put Joe Torre on a different plateau than he had, but he was a great baseball player. He had not had much success as a manager before coming here. And then he became iconic with the 12 playoffs and 4 championships, as Nick Swisher works a lot. Time now for a look at the New York State Smokers Quit Line Quiz. Which 4 Hall of Fame pitchers played at one point for the Yankees during George Steinbrenner's tenure? I can think of a couple. Good question. I also thought it was a nice, Donnie Mattingly has never, ever said that there's any kind of breach between he and the Yankees. He did not get the job when Joe Torre left. It was between Joe Girardi and Tony Pena and Don Mattingly, and Donnie didn't get it, and there wasn't any bitterness there. And I actually had reached out to him after he got the Dodger job. I sent him an email, told him congratulations. He said, please, can you do me one favor? He said, tell the New York fans and people that like Don Mattingly how much they mean to me, and that I'll always be a part of what goes on there, and they'll always be a part of me. And I think he truly believes that wherever he is, his Yankee pedigree is a big part of that.
Well, he showed it today. I mean, making that trip out to Monument Park, you could see he was really engaged with the fans. And I think that's what the New York fans loved about Don Mattingly. They could relate to him, obviously a fantastic player, but they could relate to Don Mattingly. He's just an everyday guy, and he showed that tonight again.
I just always felt, and you could always have an argument about it. You can go back and forth. Might be, if not the most, but one of the most beloved New York athletes of all time. Of all time. I mean, there was just something about him, a working man's quality that I think everybody identified with. He didn't give it the superstar act, and he had a great nickname, Donnie Baseball. And that popcorn shot is iconic. As Lance Berkman lines one to center field for a base hit. Mattingly, for all the years he was here, he made 1 playoff series and hit over 400 that series against the Mariners. 14 big league seasons. For about 5 or 6 years, he was the best player in baseball before his back gave out. Won the MVP. Look at that season in '85. 35 homers, 145 ribbies, 6-time All-Star, 9 Gold Gloves. I had the pleasure and the honor of covering him as a newspaper writer. And you don't get finer than Don Mattingly. Just Just the best. And you played under him as the batting coach when he was the batting coach.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to play against him, lucky enough to grow up here in New York watching him in his great years. And, it's very few times you can meet somebody who's a superstar that kind of comes down to your level and you can relate to him. And that's what Don Mattingly was all about. Working with him as a hitter, he was a hitting instructor. He could talk to you about hitting. You would understand it. He didn't talk over your head. But I think most importantly, he was there for everybody in that clubhouse, and you could see why when he was captain of the Yankees, how much respect he had in that clubhouse and on that team.
And they still wear the old number 23. The 0-1 inside. It's funny, you would read media guides over the last 4 or 5 years. I don't know now with the younger players. Everybody's favorite player growing up seemed to be Don Mattingly. Even if they weren't from New York, Don Mattingly. There was something about him that people liked and respected. So I wish him the best of luck with the Dodgers. I hope he does great there. I hope he has a long, successful career. He's put in his time as a coach. People will say, well, he's never managed in the minors. He's going to manage in the Arizona Fall League.
Well, how about that, though? You just got a big league job. You're going to be the big league manager, and here he committed to the Arizona Fall League. There would be a lot of people who would say, you know what, I got my big league job. I'm going to rest up and look forward to the season. Still going to go out there and get some experience.
Count 2-2 with the foul back by Gardner. You got a runner at second. That's Swisher. Runner at first is Berkman. Yankees are leading this 2-0. We're in the bottom of the 4th inning here at the stadium. Gardner batting 8th in the lineup tonight. So a 2-2 count. He leads the majors. He sees 4.62 pitches per plate appearance. He's on his way again. Nub slowly in front of the plate. Jaso gets the hustling Gardner for the final out of the inning. No runs, a hit, no errors, and 2 men left. We've played 4. Yankees lead this 2-0. Right there. That's our CEO of the Yes Network, Tracy Dolgen, and his son Jack. And Ray Hopkins, also a Yes executive, kneeling at the foot of the boss, which is important. Enjoying the game with good seats, too. Swing and a miss by Joyce.
Big inning for Nova here. You have a 2-0 lead. It was the 5th inning in Tampa, your last start where it didn't go well. See if he can power his way through the 5th.
There's a ground ball to second. Cano right there. One away. Hey, let's check out that New York State Smokers Quit Line quiz. The question, which 4 Hall of Fame pitchers played at one point for the Yankees during George Steinbrenner's tenure? Now, Goose Gossage and Gaylord Perry, I think, are 2. Let's see if there are another 2. Catfish Hunter and Phil Niekro. Sure. Great teams in the 37 years he owned the team. A lot of great players have come through here and worn Yankee pinstripes. It's Carlos Pena. Yankees lead 2-0. Yankees had to play beautifully. A shift was on. Jeter there. 2 away. Watch this replay. Does Jeter move at all? Is there a twitch? Is there a muscle twitch? Oh, yeah. It's a step. It's a lot slower in yes mode. Ball still coming. Still. I think I could have caught that, Joe. Ground ball to A-Rod. And he gets up, and how about that? That's a 4-pitch inning. In an inning in which Nova usually struggles. Opponents usually at 458 against him in the 5th. Coverage provided by Goodyear. Fuel Max tires help you get there on less gas. That's always a great shot. In the dark Bronx night, a beacon called Yankee Stadium. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Yankees are up 2-0. It'll be 9-1-2 in their order against Matt Garza. Francisco Cervelli will start it off. Shows bunt. Takes inside. 1-0. That first one was called a strike. My apologies. So now it's 1-1. Now, Tampa Bay has lost each of Garza's last 8 starts against the Yankees. But Garza has absorbed the loss in only 2 of those games and has pitched to a 4.34 ERA. Ground ball up the middle and booted there by Zobrist. We'll see how they score that.
Saw Cervelli out on the field taking a little extra batting practice today. His first at bat, he ripped one to left field, a base hit. Hits this ball hard, but it's going to be scored in error on Zobrist. He goes for the backhand right off of his glove, a play that I'm sure he felt he should have made. It's a lot easier on Yesmo. Going to his right, can't come up with it.
Here's Derek Jeter. Let's see if the Yankees play for one more run. They're up 2-0. Jeter can bunt. Not bunting. And the pitch is low, 1-0.
The situation here, too, Derek Jeter will be on his own if he wants to lay a bunt down. A lot of times if he's not swinging the bat well or doesn't feel good at the plate, he'll try to lay a bunt down the third base line. Not showing bunt the first pitch.
Driven out to right field, giving Chase Joyce. He's not going to get there. It bounces into the seats for a double. So the Yankees are set up, second and third, nobody out. And Jeter now has a 9-game hitting streak.
A couple of good at-bats for Derek Jeter. His first at-bat of the night, he goes to right center, hit the ball hard. Here he lets the ball travel deep, fights it off. He's going to have a little slice on it, but he's able to keep it fair. Bounces into the seats for a ground rule double. Derek Jeter looks like he's feeling pretty good at the plate.
Here's Curtis Granderson. One swing, a 2-run home run. That's the difference in the game right now. Infield is back. They'll give up a run. Pitch is outside to Granderson.
Pay attention here. First base open. We talked about it the last at bat when Curtis hit his 2-run home run. If you're Garza, you have to make a decision. Do you go right at him with your fastball or pitch around him? Take your chances with Mark Teixeira.
Count 2-0.
Same count he had his last at bat, 2-0. Garza came right at him with a fastball. We'll see if he does it again.
And the count 3-0. First base is open, but you're not pitching around Granderson to take on Mark Teixeira.
Mark's missed a few days with that bone bruise in the right hand. You wonder if Joe Madden, that plays into the decision.
And he walked him on 4 pitches. So Jim Hickey will come out and talk with Garza as the Yankees are poised to give themselves a bigger lead. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the New York Yankees and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the New York Yankees. There's a new addition here at the ballpark today. Walked into the ballpark, noticed it right away. On the facing of the luxury boxes above the 200 level, they've got little blue pennants listed as each year the Yankees have won a championship. And there's the most recent one. But it's kind of neat. They have all 27. And it just was up today when I walked in. A little pleasant surprise. 1947. So next time you're at the ballpark, you could look out for that. Teixeira, by the way, has been terrific with the bases loaded this year. 8 for 13. 615, a home run, and 22 ribbies. Now, with the bases loaded, they can't shift the way they normally do, so there are 2 infielders on the left side of the infield. Granted, Bartman shaded up the middle, but they can't do their dramatic shift for Teixeira. The 0-1. Popped up and out of play.
You really got to pay attention to Mark Teixeira's swings tonight. Had a couple of days off trying to give that right hand, the bone bruise, a little time to heal. Probably not a lot of time for that to heal in 2 days, but he's going to try it tonight. 0 for 2 already with a fly ball to center field his last at bat, and behind in the count here 0-2. Having a problem with that right hand, hitting left hand, it's going to be tough. Obviously, your drive hand, your lead hand, as you see the bases loaded. Tough to get that good extension and drive with that right hand.
He could not hold up, and he goes down on strikes for the first out. Let's see how they went after Mark Teixeira. The pitch-by-pitch is brought to you by Suzuki Kizashi.
Garza does a nice job with the first pitch curveball for a strike, a good fastball inside, a little cutter in, and then he finishes him with another cutter down and in. Dominant at bat for Garza. Now he starts thinking about a possibility of a double play, ground ball to Alex Rodriguez. You could work some magic and work your way out of this inning.
Alex 0 for 2 against Garza. Alex had one of the biggest hits on that 9-game road trip. 9th inning, 2 out, 2 strike, 3-run home run against Koji Uehara. Gave the Yankees the win on Friday against the Orioles. For a guy who missed a lot of time with a calf injury and enforced rest, those are not bad numbers. Alex has been great with the bases loaded this year. 9 for 18, 3 grand slams, and 32 ribbies. He has 21 grand slams lifetime, and that ties him with Manny Ramirez for second most in baseball ever, 2 behind the great Lou Gehrig. Bases loaded. 0-1-1. 2-1. This is the Friday home run, the second of 2 home runs that game. Little gaze into the Oriole dugout. Big time hit. The 2-1. High drive, left field. Crawford back. He has room. He'll make the play in front of the warning track. Tagging Cervelli. He'll score. The other runners move up, and the Yankees lead 3-0 on Rodriguez's sac fly.
You see Alex Rodriguez is a little frustrated. He thinks he had a pitch to drive out of here for a grand slam. Does the job with the sacrifice fly, but he is not happy. 3 sliders in a row, and then he got a fastball in. He felt like he should have driven this a little farther. We get another look. A little bit of movement inside. Just enough movement to get it in on the hands. Can't get extended.
Still a big spot for the Yankees, and they're going to intentionally walk the Rays, or they will walk Cano. So they're going to load the bases for Nick Swisher, challenging Swisher, who's 1 for 1 with a walk against Garza.
And he's got great numbers in his career against Garza. 3 home runs in limited at bats. Batting average of .462 coming in, so that has risen. Now 7 for 14, 500. Even a GW education could figure that out.
So Joe Madden, I think, is just going, who's having a better year? I don't think he's thinking about past performance against Garza. So he intentionally walks Cano. Let's see what Cano was against Garza. Maybe that played into it. Was 10 for 27 coming in, 370 with 2 home runs. And he is the better player this year, although Nick Swisher is an all-star as well. Those are the numbers. 3 home runs against Garza. So laying down the gauntlet to Nick Swisher, and that's always got to motivate a player just a bit. A battle for first place in the Bronx. Yankees against the Rays. First game of a 4-game set. Bottom of the 5th, Yankees up 3-0. 1-0.
Sometimes you can tell, Michael, how a hitter takes a first pitch. There was a little curveball down, and Nick Swisher did not even budge on that. He took that ball like he saw it right out of Garza's hand. Be a good sign for the Yankees.
Blocked by Jaso, and the count 2-0.
A little more flinch on that take, and a nice block by Jaso. You see Derek Jeter getting a good secondary, can't go anywhere. And Nick Swisher in the driver's seat right now, 2-0. Good fastball count.
Foul back.
That's what you love about Garza, though. Even if you're an opponent, when you watch him pitch, he is not afraid to challenge hitters. I mean, that was a 2-0 fastball right down the middle to Nick Swisher, who's got great numbers. Love the attitude.
Now there's no place to put Swisher. 3-1 count with the bases loaded. Jeter on third. Granderson on second. Cano is on first. The 3-1. He walked him, forcing in a run. Could not throw a strike on 3-1. Here comes Jeter. He'll step on home plate, and when he does, it's 4-0 Yanks. When you intentionally walk the bases loaded like that, you have to have a lot of faith in your pitcher to throw strikes. He couldn't do it.
And it was not the case of a pitcher who was pitching away from contact. He went with his fastball, just missed with his location.
Here's Lance Berkman, 1 for 2 tonight. He's 17 for 46 since returning from the DL. That's 370.
Swings from the left side have gotten a lot better. Kevin Long incorporating his lower half a little bit more. Power numbers have not come yet, but base hits, swing is better, a little quicker.
Strike on the inside corner, 0-1. Count 1-1. Granderson's on third, Cano at second, Swisher on first. The 1-1 pitch. High, 2-1. Garza stumbled off the mound a bit. Von Nova saying to the Yankee offense, take as much time as you need. This next pitch will be the 30th pitch of the inning for Garza. It's also high. And again, another 3-1 count. Again, no place to put Lance Berkman. So Jaso and Pena will meet Garza on the mound.
You know, it was a good observation, Michael. Looks like Garza falling off the mound a little bit towards the Yankee dugout. Because of that, a lot of pitches high and wide to Lance Berkman and Nick Swisher.
The 3-1. Broke his bat and popped it up. Zobrist is there, and that will do it. But the Yankees scored 2 runs on 1 hit, 1 big error, 3 walks, and the bases left loaded. After 5, 4-0 Yanks. Look at tonight's Toyota Text Ball. Once again, the question: do you think this series is going to determine the American League East champion? The pitch to Bartlett is low. You've been texting us at 58772. Here's how you voted. 77% say yes. How about you? What do you say, John?
I agree with you. I mean, a 4-game series usually is 2-2, maybe 3-1.
And that doesn't put anybody to sleep. And the Yankee schedule for the final week and a half is much tougher than the Tampa Bay schedule, which includes a series against Kansas City. Kansas City's probably packed right now. The 2-0. There's a strike, 2-1.
For the Yankees, you'd love to see Nova continue this rhythm that he has had through 5.
There's a base hit through the left side, so Bartlett reaches on a leadoff single in the 6th. You know, there's been some talk, would Nova be considered for the Yankees postseason rotation? Now, honestly, if the Yankees draw it up the way they want to draw it up, it's Sabathia, Pettit, Burnett, and Hughes. So Nova probably is not, unless somebody is hurt or can't go. But I did ask Joe Torre. See, he's in the ballpark, I forget. I asked Joe Girardi the other day, and I said, is Ivan Nova a big-time pitcher? I mean, can he be a part of what the Yankees do? And he looked at me and said, yes. He said he's that good. He's got that sort of stuff. He could be a mainstay in the rotation. So they really like this guy.
Yeah, there's a lot to like about him. You know, I think the one concern, I even asked Dave Island today, I said, is this guy a possibility for your postseason roster in the bullpen? Can he come out and maybe just let it fly for an inning at the end of the game, 6th, 7th inning? Dave said, you know, there's not a question about his arm and his stuff. We've seen that through 5 innings tonight. It's when these situations come up, some runners on base, maybe he gets rattled a little bit. And you also worry about a starting pitcher with his routine moving to the bullpen. There's a lot to like about his fastball, the curveball we talked about, the changeup. He's got to do a little better job in situations like this with runners on base and slowing the game down.
Now, the pitch count should have nothing to do with him being ineffective right now. And at 67 pitches, that's far, far from a number where a guy should be fatigued. He's been economical. There's no reason that the roof should cave in this inning. The 3-0. And there's a strike to Jaso.
Yeah, and you got to believe Joe Girardi is going to have a very short leash here. He's already looking at matchups, I'm sure. We've seen from Nova in his brief career that things can get out of hand quickly in some of his starts. He can look dominant for 3 or 4 innings and then struggle. Find a way to regroup here in the 6th.
Now he walks Jaso, so a single and a walk. And that's going to bring Dave Island out to the mound. Gives us a moment to tell you about this moment in Yankees history, brought to you by Johnny Walker. September 20th, 1980, the Yankees dedicate a plaque in Monument Park to Thurman Munson. How about that? That is weird, huh? 30 years later, that's one of George Steinbrenner's favorite players. George Steinbrenner gets a monument. Demand greatness in every sip and every season. Johnny Walker, proud sponsor of the New York Yankees. And there's the two of them together. Two guys from Ohio. I did not know that was the same day. That's weird.
How was your relationship with Mr. Steinbrenner?
Pretty good. I mean, not that much interaction, but he was always good to me when I was a writer, and would answer phone calls, which was important when you were covering the Yankees. And once I became a broadcaster, there was very little interaction, so that was a good thing. Here's Zobrist. How about yours?
You know, kind of the same thing when I came over in 03 and I was trying to make the ball club in spring training. I remember seeing him around the complex and really avoiding. Totally just did not want it to be on his radar screen, but had a couple of conversations once I made the club. And interesting, one was about Tanyan Sturtz before we traded for him, or before the Yankees picked him up. Good change up there from Nova. Mr. Steinbrenner came down to the clubhouse knowing that I had played with Tanyan in Tampa Bay. and he wanted to know about his makeup. He wanted to know what he threw. He was very involved in the possibility of that happening, and then obviously it did.
Saw Boone Logan warming up. Pitch upstairs. One story I can relate to you is I was a writer at the Yankees trained in Fort Lauderdale, and when the press box was on the roof behind home plate, you'd have to walk through the stands to go to the roof. So he was walking up, and the writers were walking up. And instead of walking up, I made a left because my family was in town. He goes, "Why are you making a left? Why aren't you going upstairs? Why are you making a left?" I said, "Well, my mom's here. I want to say hi. Your mother? I have to go meet her." And then he sat down. He made her feel like $1 million. Everybody wouldn't talk to anybody else. He just put his arm around my mother and talked to her for like 5 minutes. So he was a charmer like that.
Fantastic. You know, we saw Tino Martinez in this ceremony on the field and also on the video before the ceremony. And he mentioned all the charity work that George Steinbrenner did in Tampa. And I lived there for 7 years. A lot of things you never heard about.
Line drive, a base hit to right field. Bartlett held up, so now the bases are loaded and nobody is out. And the lefty swinging Crawford will come to the plate. Let's see if Girardi is going to bring in Boone Logan to get Crawford.
Yeah, you would expect the leash to be very short. Joe Girardi looked like he's shouting some words of encouragement. Obviously a big part in this ball game. Nova had been cruising through 5. Now the captain's going to give him a little talk on the mound. Words of encouragement. Obviously Crawford going to be a tough guy to double up if you do get a ground ball.
This is what he did against the Rays in the first 4 innings, unhittable. He had a 6-0 lead in the 5th inning. It was all gone. And that was last week, but now this is the 6th inning. He was so dominant through the first 5, so they're leaving him in to face Crawford. Pitch is low.
You can see it, Michael. I mean, once runners get on base and he kind of speeds up a little bit, gets out of his rhythm. I don't know if it's because he's pitching out of the stretch a little bit more, maybe not as comfortable. And you see him start thinking about things now. Dangerous Longoria on deck. I believe you go with a fastball here, down and away, and take your chances.
Chopped off the plate. They're going to throw to first and get the out. But the home plate umpire saying, wait a second, it hit, I guess it hit the glove.
Catcher's interference, maybe.
Of Cervelli. So that means that Crawford's going to reach and a run's going to score.
Crawford has one of those swings where he really just kind of chops down on the baseball at the last second. Joe Girardi can't believe it. Get another look from the side here. There it is. Pitch was so deep in the zone, he just chopped at it.
Now let's listen to this next replay to hear if we hear the connection. Oh, yeah. Cervelli's trying to buy it and say, no, throw to first. And Crawford saying, I hit his glove. So Tim McClellan, the veteran ump, heard that hit. So now it's 3-1. Check that 4-1 with the bases loaded. And here's Longoria. 0-1.
Could be your ball game right here. 99 RBIs on the year. Solid run producer in Longoria. Big first pitch changeup from Nova. The best pitch he has thrown all inning.
Count 0-2. Now the catcher's interference is an error for the catcher. The 0-2. Grounded to third. There's one. There's two. So they double up Longoria. Another run scores. Jaso crosses the plate. Zobrist moves to third. Now the Yankee lead is 4-2 on the double play.
Well, if you're Nova and Joe Girardi, you will take that right there. Well, double play, you trade that for a run.
Let's see the GE Capital Partner play. Great partnerships are built on trust At GE Capital, we prove that every day.
Alex Rodriguez, nice job charging it. Good feed to Cano over to Teixeira. Nice partner play right there. Big double play for Nova.
So Nova goes 5 2/3. He leaves with a 4-2 lead. Gets a nice hand from the crowd here at the stadium. Girardi signals to the bullpen. He's going to bring in the lefty Boone Logan to face Dan Johnson, or a pinch hitter. Stay right where you are. AT&T, rethink possible. Ivan Nova, 5 2/3 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. He threw 79 pitches, and he leaves a runner on third base with 2 outs. So the runner at third, his responsibility. He can only win this game. So they turn to Boone Logan now to face the lefty swinging Dan Johnson. And as Boone Logan warms up, we want to remind you to come home to Yankee Stadium in 2010 to see the 27-time world champion New York Yankees in action. On Tuesday, September 21st, that's tomorrow, the Yankees take on the Rays, and it's Snoopy night. The first 18,000 fans in attendance are going to receive a Snoopy Yankees doll, courtesy of MetLife. For tickets, log on to Yankees.com, visit the Yankee Stadium ticket window, Yankees clubhouse shops, or call Ticketmaster at 877-469-9849. So Boone Logan against Dan Johnson. Told you what Johnson did the other day in Tampa against Phil Hughes, 2 2-run home runs. At AAA this year, 303, 30 homers, and 95 ribbies, and those are the numbers on Logan. Lefties hit 183 against Logan. Count 2-0.
Good pitch right there for Boone Logan. A little 2-0 slider for a strike. Did not have to give in. You have Joyce hitting behind Johnson and then Pena, both lefties.
That one is looped into right center field. It's going to dunk in for a base hit. So Johnson picks up an RBI single. Zobra scores. And now it's 4-3 Yankees over the Rays.
Run will be charged to Nova right there. And you see Johnson has a big swing here and a fastball right off the end of the bat. I think Curtis Granderson got fooled. Take a look from above. Curtis Granderson thought this ball was hit a lot more solid than it was. We'll take a look at Curtis from the start and see what kind of a jump he gets. A little bit back, and then he tries to come in and make up some ground. He can't do it.
There's Matt Joyce. Pitch outside. Boone Logan has now assumed such an important role for the Yankees. He is going to be their lone lefty in the bullpen in the postseason. He's going to be called on to get the tough. He's going to be called on to face the Twins to get the lefty bat, the Joe Mauers. The 1-0. He's going to be called on against the Texas Rangers to neutralize their tough left-handers. I mean, it's a big role and one that Tommaso Marte filled so beautifully last postseason.
Yeah, I guess Joe Girardi feels very good about, obviously, his guys at the end of the pen, Kerry Wood, Jabba Chamberlain, David Robertson, because he's been bringing Logan in the middle of these games. I've seen him a lot lately in the 6th inning. I wonder if that's going to continue in the postseason, or he might hold off with Boone Logan maybe for a bigger at bat in the 7th or the 8th.
And the count 3-1. So Logan comes in, and the two lefties, one's a bloop single and other's a walk. And now he'll face another lefty, Carlos Pena. That's part of the Rays lineup you're going to match up your lefty with. Let's take a look at tomorrow's starting pitchers, brought to you by Fios TV, Internet, and Phone. It's time for Fios. James Shields, 13-12, 4.86 against Phil Hughes, 16-8, 4.31. Our coverage on Yes will begin at 6. And then game time will be right around 7:08 on My 9.
We're looking forward to seeing Phil Hughes after a good outing his last time out. Did a nice job. Curveball changeup. You see Chad Godin looks ready to go. Hughes did such a nice job mixing in his secondary pitches his last outing and really had a good game except for a couple of home runs to Dan Johnson.
So here is Pena, 0 for 2. Struck out, lined out to Jeter, who was stationed up the middle.
Boone Logan's got to be careful here with Pena. He likes a fastball out over the plate. You have to crowd him in on the hands.
He's been having trouble throwing strikes.
He's not missing by a lot. Slider right there just missing down. I've seen Pena in the past get a fastball out over the plate and hook it into the seats. Likes to get his arms extended.
Opponents only hit .242 against Logan with runners in scoring position, and that includes Johnson's single this inning. Dribbled slowly up the first baseline. Teixeira boots the ball, and everybody is safe. He was trying to hurry it, field it, and tag Pena at the same time. Ended up doing neither.
Yeah, you can sense what Mark was trying to do, really hustle and charge this ball, and he loses his footing on the grass. They're going to call that an infield hit. Tries to slide, get the ball, and apply the tag at the same time. Can't do it. He lost his footing, or he tried to go down to a slide. It looked like he lost his footing.
Well, that's going to do it for Boone Logan. He didn't retire any of the 3 lefties that he faced, so they call on Chad Godin, bases loaded, to face B.J. Upton. And by Toyota, the official hybrid vehicle of the New York Yankees. That is a big bobblehead. I've seen that. That's outside the Yankee store. That's Derek. It's supposed to be Derek. How you doing, Derek? Good? All right, so now it's Chad Gaudin as the Rays have batted around here in the 6th. They've cut it to 4-3. Those are the numbers on Gaudin. And he inherits the bases loaded, 2 men out, and B.J. Upton at the plate.
B.J. Upton only 2 for 12, 167 against Gaudin.
And the pitch. Missed outside, 1-0. Big part of the game right here. Two 2-0. No need to tell you there's no place to put B.J. Upton.
One of those situations, if you're a pitcher, you have to trust your stuff. Down and away, make a strike down and away and see what happens. Again, a pitch that is not missing by much. Dave Island and Joe Girardi looking on. Fastball middle of the plate, maybe down. Cervelli tries to bring it up a little bit. Tim McClellan, home plate umpire, does not give Gaudin the call. See if Upton has a green light.
Fastball strike right down the middle. And a derisive cheer from the crowd. And he walked him, forces in the tying run. So an ugly inning. First for Nova, then Logan, and now Gaudin. So 4-0 has completely gone away.
See Chad Gaudin shaking his head. Boone Logan looking on. I'm sure Bartlett coming up to the plate going to try to ambush Chad Gaudin right here after you walk in a run, banking on the fact that Gaudin's going to come right at him.
It all started innocently enough with Jason Bartlett's ground ball single through the left side, and it has unraveled since then. The 1-0. Tim McClellan's strike zone is getting very tight. Now the count 2-0.
It's a tight strike zone, but it's been consistent the whole ball game. Chad Gaudin has got to start challenging some people here. Pitching away from contact a little bit.
The 2-0. Foul back. 2-1 pitch. 2-2.
Good fastball by Godin. He decides to come right at Bartlett with a little bit of movement. Finally getting aggressive in the strike zone.
Two pitch. 3-2. So everybody's going to be going on 3-2 and 2 outs. And the pitch. High fly ball. Left field. Gardner back. Makes the play, and that'll do it. But the Rays tie the score. They score 4 runs in the 6th inning. They leave the bases loaded. We go to the bottom of the 6th tied. A night where the Yankee organization and the Steinbrenner family unveiled the 7th monument out in Monument Park. 1930 to 2010. George Steinbrenner would not like the top of the 6th inning, as the Rays have tied the Yankees at 4-4. Shot of the Empire State Building, the GE Building, Rockefeller Center. The greatest skyline in the greatest city in the world. So it'll be Gardner, Cervelli, and Jeter. Shattered bat. That's a base hit. Bartlett couldn't get his grip on the ball, so an infield single for Gardner.
A broken bat right off the end of Brett Gardner's bat, and you can see Bartlett does not get a good grip. Probably makes the wise decision as Brett Gardner gets out of the box in good shape. It's going to be an infield hit. It'll be a wise decision when you come up with a change-up grip.
So let's see if Gardner's going to be going. Cervelli has 8 sack bunts this year. keep Gardner close.
Expect Cervelli to be bunting, although he has swung the bat well tonight. A base hit and a hard shot up the middle. Zobrist made an error. 2 at bats, 2 balls hit hard. Expect Joe Girardi to play a little small ball here, sacrifice bunt.
Count 1-0.
Cervelli looking down to Rob Thompson, the third base coach. Grant Balfour getting loose. Could change that sacrifice to a hit and run here, or possibly straight steal Brett Gardner.
There's a strike, 1-1. Looks down long and hard at third base coach Rob Thompson. Count 2-1.
Fastball that runs inside. Cervelli works his way out of the way. Has a little glance out of Garza, which is interesting. Didn't look like it was that close. A little glance out there.
Runner goes. Hit and run. Executed beautifully. Gardner's going to the third base. He will get there. The throw comes into the shortstop. Beautifully executed hit and run by the Yankees, and they're set up first and third, nobody out.
Well, you get ahead in the count. Joe Girardi can do a lot of things managing. Decides to put the hit and run on. It's a fastball down the middle, banking that Garza's going to throw a strike. Cervelli pulls it into left field. Gardner goes all the way to third. Yankees in business here in the 6th. See Cervelli not afraid to show some emotion.
So Hickey with a conference on the mound. Jeter, 1 for 3. Pitch outside. Two and 0. Jeter has 63 runs batted in. He's driven in more runs in the 6th inning than any other inning this season with 14. And now he's driven in another one. An RBI single center. Going to third is Cervelli. The throw is not in time. And Jeter goes to second behind the throw. Yankees lead 5-4.
Derek Jeter blocks this ball right back up the middle, perfectly placed right over second base. Gardner scores easily, and Francisco Cervelli aggressive coming around second, up in bare hands and a good throw. Just dives in there and is safe. Gutsy base running play. When it works out, you look like an aggressive base runner. Again, Cervelli fired up on Yesmo. We'll get another look at it. Jess gets his hand in there before the tag by Longoria.
And Brett Gardner doing some umpiring from behind the plate. And then Jeter likes the base hit and his 64th ribby and the Yankees 5-4 lead. And the fact he just knocked out Garza. Help you get there on less gas. Now let's take a look at Francisco Cervelli trying to get to third, and we'll take a look at it with the IOTB HD Super Shot. Face full of dirt, and the hand gets in before the tag by Longoria. Here's Grant Balfour, 52 games, 2-1, 2.32. Good numbers all around. 57 base runners in 50 and a third innings, more strikeouts than innings pitched.
Now batting for the Yankees, the center fielder, number 14.
So the Yankees have a 5-4 lead and looking for more with runners on second and third and nobody out. So the hard-throwing Australian brought in by Joe Madden. And he is going to face Curtis Granderson.
Balfour, coming off his last 5 outings, have been scoreless, so he's been throwing the ball well. Pay attention here, Michael. Balfour came out of the bullpen and came in his balls getting loose, and it looked like he had a little conversation with Joe Madden. Did a couple of stretching exercises out on the mound before he started warming up. Not quite sure if he's 100%. We'll see how it works out.
Traveling this season? Take the Yankees with you. Subscribe to MLB.tv today to see every Yankees game live or on demand on your computer. Running out of time here. Visit Yankees.com to order and get more details. MLB.tv, baseball everywhere. So they play the infield back with Granderson up. Granderson with a 2-run home run tonight. He has runners on second and third, nobody out. Yankees already up by 1, bottom of the 6th. And the count 1-0. That's Garza's line, but the 2 runners on base, his responsibility. Another game where he will not get a win against the Yankees. That one fouled off the foot of Granderson. We told you that that Garza has not had a victory against the Yankees in his last 8 starts. Tampa Bay's lost each of them. Now, he got the loss in only 2 of them. The longest streak of its kind since Kenny Rogers lost 11 straight games that he started against the Yankees. That was from 94 to 2004. Last 10 starts, 4-2, 1.58. His previous 8, the last 2 0-1 with a Zoftig 12-0 ERA. That one's drilled deep to right. Fair ball, it's gone. It is off the pole. See ya! A 3-run home run for Curtis Granderson. And the Yankees lead 8-4. His second home run of the game. And a monster shot high off the pole in right field.
Mention the numbers for Curtis Granderson, hitting second behind Derek Jeter, in front of Mark Teixeira and Alex Rodriguez. You're going to get plenty of pitches to hit. And again, first base open. And the Rays decide to challenge Curtis Granderson up in the zone, a fastball. The only question, fair or foul. See, it's a foul pole. Up on top of the foul pole, big 3-run home run is 21st.
Garza's seen enough. Now count 2-0 to Teixeira. That really was high off the pole, John. I don't know how far that would have traveled, but it looked like it would have gone deep into the second deck. Now Jason wants to settle down. Grant Balfour.
I don't think Balfour is 100%, but you know how many times early on when you think about Curtis Granderson and his home runs, as you see where it ends up, he wasn't able to take care of a high fastball. A lot of his home runs were on fastballs down in the zone. Did a great job there getting a fastball up and staying on top and hitting it a long way.
High fly ball, center field. Upton in right center, puts it away. That's just the first out of the inning.
Number 13, Alex Rodriguez.
Here's Alex Rodriguez. Cervelli, I'll take the helmet. And you have your 21st home run. 5 RBIs tonight. That ties Granderson's career high. He still has, must be another at bat coming. The 0-1. 1-1. So a seesaw battle for first place. Yankees come in tied in the loss column with the Rays. A half game up with one more victory. I told you Granderson has 21 home runs, and 11 of his 21 have come in the last 35 games. He had 10 home runs in his first 90 games this year, but a little bit of a tweak with Kevin Long, and it certainly has paid off.
I'm more impressed with where that pitch was, a fastball up, able to get on top.
Strike 3, A-Rod down looking.
Take another look at the home run and where the pitch was and the location. Usually you see lefties leg it down. This pitch up. See how Curtis rises up and gets on top. And nice finish with the top hand, both hands on the bat. Creates some good backspin. Ball went a long way.
Cano takes a strike. So Kevin Long kind of mimics the swing right after he hits it. It's amazing how much Kevin Long loves hitting, loves working with hitters. Tireless. Count 0-2.
You know what, the biggest complaint you hear from hitting instructors is that very rarely do you have all 9 guys in your lineup swinging the bat at the same time. You know, you might have 5, 6 guys feel good about it. Another 3 are struggling. So you always have some negativity that you have to clear out of your lineup. I think that's probably Kevin's strength. Obviously knows the swing better than anybody. But he's able to get inside their heads, keep them positive, keep them working on their bats.
Cute scene. Nick Swisher gave a foul ball to a kid, and the kid just leaned over the wall as Nick was taking his practice swings in the on-deck circle. And the kid, must have been about 8, held out his fist for a high fist. Finally, Nick turned around, saw him there, and stopped swinging and gave him a high fist. Got a whole cheer from the crowd. Count 2-2. Make a kid's day. Here's the 2-2. Here is that little exchange with the kid and Nick. And yes, Mo. And then the kid is thrilled. And Nick goes back to preparing for his at-bat. The yes, Mo is watching everything. 2-2. Grounded foul. The 2-2. This will be the 8th pitch of the at-bat. Derek Jeter has 2 runs scored tonight, and that ties him now with Mickey Mantle for the 3rd most runs scored in Yankee history. So he's moving on up the all-time list. Inching closer to 3,000 hits, which will come sometime next year. No Yankees ever done that. Two-two. Swing and a miss. And Cano down on strikes. But the Yankees get 4 runs on 4 hits. The big blow, a 3-run home run that clangs off the foul pole of the bat of Curtis Granderson. His 2nd bomb of the night. Garza can't stand it. Granderson loves it. in-game box score, which is brought to you by McDonald's. Ben Zobrist with a hit and a run scored. Carl Crawford with an RBI. Dan Johnson with an RBI, a bloop single. Also a run scored. Carlos Pena singled. And Jason Bartlett singled. B.J. Upton with a walk and a ribby. Yankees are leading this 8-4 as we go to the 7th. Is that the G-Dub? Verizon Wireless scoreboard shows an 8-4 Yankee lead. Traffic moving smoothly. Both ways, which is always a good thing. And here's David Robertson, who pitched 1+ innings yesterday. Actually took the loss in that extra inning game against the O's. And he'll face the top of the Rays order. Pitch to Jaso as a strike. Right now, the way it stands, Chad Godin could get himself a win, although it is at the discretion of the official scorer. Pitch outside. Javier Vasquez warming for the Yankees in their pen. The 2-1. Strike, 2-2. There's Javier, who has been taken out of the rotation, now working out of the bullpen. 2-2. Punched into left field, a base hit for Jaso. Hey, we need a scoreboard update. You know where we should go, John?
Bob Lorenz.
Let's do it, Bob. Thank you, Bob. Boy, that Luke Scott's got some big hits.
She's saying he's hot right now. Home run off of Mariano Rivera. Big hit tonight.
And a strike to Zobrist. The 0-1. 0-2. Yankees up 8-4. Cormier is ready in the Rays bullpen. He's been throwing for a while. That one is off the glove of a leaping Jeter, and it trickles into center field for a base hit. So Jeter got up there, but just couldn't come down with the baseball.
Jaso did a nice job hitting the ball the other way. Zobrist gets a fastball out over and drives it right towards Derek Jeter. Times the leap right off the tip of his glove and can't come down with it. So back-to-back base hits. Rays trying to get something going here in the 7th.
Here is Carl Crawford. Crawford 1-4-3. Kerry Wood begins to throw. Ground it, grabbed there by Cano. He gets one. Good play by Cano to get that lead runner. That was not an easy play. Jaso moves to third.
No chance of turning a double play. Robinson Cano, the nice spin and a good, strong, accurate throw to Derek Jeter. Get Zobrist, keep him out of scoring position. Nice athletic play on the turn and the strong throw.
Here's Longoria. 0 for 3. And a strike. High fly ball right center. That's going to get a run in. The catch is made by Granderson. He fires into second. Tagging is Jaso. And the Yankee lead is 8-5.
Sac fly and an RBI for Longoria, his 100th RBI of the season. Joe Girardi going to trot out to the mound.
So with Dan Johnson due up, he's going to bring in Kerry Wood, who he thinks is better as a matchup to a lefty batter. So David Robertson departs. 2 outs, runner on first. Wood coming on. Stay where you are. As the Steinbrenner family and the New York Yankee family made a pilgrimage out to Monument Park, where the 7th monument out in the park was unveiled. This one to George M. Steinbrenner III. And it will be out there with the Yankee legends for all time. The proud family standing in front of their father and the husband's monument. And a big crowd of 47,437 on hand to see it, as well as this game. Kerry Wood will come on to face Dan Johnson with a runner on first and 2 outs. Obviously, Crawford is a threat to steal. And there's very little that holds the Tampa Bay Rays running game back. Doesn't matter that they're down 3. They will go here if Crawford thinks he can get a jump. Strike. Joe Girardi is getting into postseason mode. The Yankees have now used at least 5 pitchers in 6 of their last 10 games. Also a little bit of a testament to the fact that their starters aren't giving them that much length, forcing Joe to go to the bullpen. But a lot of mixing and matching as well. Crawford back. Kerry Wood's numbers with the Yankees, just they're staggeringly good. Count 2-1.
Guess the only thing you don't like with those numbers, the walk total a little bit high for the innings. Kerry Wood has worked on that little higher arm angle. The cutter has gotten better. The curveball is more consistent. Every time you see Kerry Wood take the mound, he does not mess around. Gets on there, gets a sign, attacks the hitter. Body language is fantastic for a late inning reliever.
The 2-2 runner goes. Throw to second is not in time. The pitch was low, so it's a 3-2 count. So Crawford does steal the base.
44th stolen base of the year. Picks a good pitch to run on, too. A curveball down. Cervelli does a nice job backhanding it and a strong throw. Crawford able to beat it.
Juan Pierre still leads the American League with 58 stolen bases, and Rajai Davis has just been tied by Carl Crawford. And now Cervelli wants to go out and talk with Wood. Big game in the National League. Phillies beat the Atlanta Braves 3-1. That's a final now. And that extends the Phillies lead to 4 over the Braves in the National League East. And the Braves are hanging on in a wild card battle as well with the teams in the West. 3-2. Still 3-2. And the pitch. Johnson spoiling pitches. Two outs and runners in scoring position. Opponents are 3 for 21 against Kerry Wood. And the pitch. Again spoiled. Eight-5 Yankees lead. We're in the top of the 7th inning. 1 run in. 2 outs. Runner on second. This will be the 9th pitch of the at-bat. 3-2. Where was that pitch? That's Johnson. Walks. Kerry Wood wants to ask Tim McClellan where it was. We'll get a look, of course. That's why we have replay machines.
Tim McClellan has had a tight zone all night, but this is really the one pitch you can question him and say that was pretty much right down the middle. Tried to go with a backdoor cutter. It ended up on the middle of the plate. And we'll take a look at the height, which would be the only question. Pretty good pitch. Got to be careful with Joyce now. He's got some power here at the short porch in right field. For Kerry Wood to try to keep the ball away from him, and if you do go inside, pitch off the plate.
That's also high. Count 1-0. Fastball there, blew it right by him. 93 miles an hour. Another fastball. This 94 misses. That a strike, count 2-2.
Pretty much a perfect pitch right here, down and away. Maybe gets a benefit of the doubt on that call. Cervelli bringing it back.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 on. Yankees up by 3, top of the 7th. And a full count. Runners will go.
Take another look and see where this ends up off the plate. 3 or 4 fastballs in a row on the outer half. Pena waiting on deck.
High fly ball, right field. Backing up Swisher on the track, and he makes the play in front of the wall for the final out of the inning. 1 run, 2 hits, no errors, and 2 men left at the end of 6.5. Time for the 7th inning stretch here at the stadium. Yankees lead Tampa Bay 8-5, but we will stay right here to honor America in the Bronx.
Is fulfilling a promise to her grandfather that she would sing in Yankee Stadium. In honor of the servicemen and women stationed around the globe, she will now perform God Bless America.
God bless America. Land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the plains,
Rendition of God Bless America by George Steinbrenner's eldest grandchild, Haley Swindle, did a beautiful job. And you can imagine the pressure that she was under performing in this spotlight on this night where her grandpa's monument was unveiled. Just a great job by her. Here's Nick Swisher as we start the bottom of the 7th inning. And Lance Cormier deals low, 1-0. Those are the numbers on Cormier. And a strike. Verizon Wireless scoreboard, Yankees lead 8-5. Swisher fouls it back.
You start paying attention to Nick Swisher and his swings, and it looks like that left knee problem is clearing up because his balance is 100 times better now. Swing looks good and crisp. Had some good at-bats against Garza. A nice swing there and a changeup, just fouled it off.
Count 2-2.
Cormier throwing the ball well lately, only 1 hit over his last 7 appearances. So finishing up strong down the stretch.
2-2. Line into left field, a base hit for Swisher. His perfect night continues. 2 for 2, 2 walks, and RBI. Let's take a look at the Yankees in-game box score, which is brought to you by McDonald's. 2 hits for Jeter. Curtis Granderson, 2 home runs and a career high tying 5 runs batted in. Nothing from Teixeira. A-Rod did get a ribby on a sac fly or Cano. But 2 for 2 for Swisher. Berkman with a hit. Gardner with a hit and a run scored. And Cervelli has scored 3.
Tell you what, you have to be absolutely perfect if you're Nick Swisher to hit this ball the other way like he does. Head behind the baseball, good balance, nice finish on that back leg. I think that's the most important thing. The health of that back knee when he hits left-handed looks pretty good tonight.
And the count 3-0 to Lance Berkman. And a walk to Berkman. So the Yankees have runners on first and second. See what the Yankees do with Gardner. Do they have him bunt? You're up by 3, so you can play for a bigger inning, or you can try to scratch out 2. Now, Lance Cormier is not allowed to run in September yet. We're on September 20th. That's a significant September so far, John. 20 days. Can't just sneeze at that.
You see that ERA was just over 4, so obviously doing a nice job to get it to that point. A little trouble here in the 7th.
And he bunts. Oh, what a play by Cormier. There's one, and they never looked at first. They had a chance, so they get a double play. Gardner bunted straight up in the air, and a beautiful play by Cormier diving off the mound.
Yeah, not a great job by Brett Gardner here. The bat head a little bit back, works underneath and pops it up. Cormier showing some athleticism for a pitcher. We're not used to seeing that from his knees. A good strong throw to Bartlett. That's how you have a good month of September right there, Michael. Good, making some good athletic plays, helping yourself out.
And that's really the last part of Gardner's game that hasn't gotten up to the level that he needs, and that's his bunting. Fouled away. If he becomes proficient at bunting, he's a 300 hitter because he's going to pick up 10 bunt hits a year. At least.
but even that situation there, a sacrifice bunt situation, make sure you get that bat head out in front of home plate. Maybe trying to be a little bit too cute, dropping it down the line for a possibility of a hit.
Gardner's had 7 bunts this year that were not sacks, nor were they hit, so unsuccessful bunts. 1-1. 2-1. Count 3-1. One pitch. Chases a pitch up in the zone to count 3-2. So Berkman's going to go on 3-2 and 2 outs. Fouled straight back here. Goes again. A base hit. Berkman will go to third. So Cervelli's had a big night. On base all 4 times. 3 hits.
He's hit the ball hard every at bat. Even the error on Zobrist up the middle. Ball that was hit hard. Another line drive to left field. 3 hits on the night.
That's Cervelli's 4th 3-hit game of the year. So here's Jeter. Jeter has 2 hits and 2 runs scored and a ribby. 2 for 4. Count 1-0. Count 2-0. Yankees lead 8-5. We're in the bottom of the 7th inning. Yankees a half game ahead of the Rays. A 4-game battle for first place. The 2-0. 3-0. Mentioned this earlier. Mickey Mantle and Derek Jeter now tied. Next up, Lou Gehrig and then Babe Ruth. That's a long while from now. 3-0. 3-1. Soft ground ball to second. Zobrist is there, and that will do it. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, and 2 men left on base. We played 7 here at the stadium, and the Yankees are leading this one 8-5. Looks like got a big hit, rounding third, heading home. That guy could be the Chevy player of the game. Now, tonight on Yes, we are asking you to vote along with us for the Chevy player of the game. Text your vote to 58772 or vote online at yesnetwork.com. Tonight's candidates are number 1, Curtis Granderson. I would think it could be him. Number 2, Derek Jeter. Number 3, Francisco Cervelli. Number 4, Nick Swisher. Vote now and make your voice heard. Standard text messaging rates apply. That was live right across the street.
You really got to work on cutting your angles here, right? You're going to run right into that fence. It's actually good for your base running technique.
There's a strike to Carlos Pena. Yeah, it's not good to cut wide because you're just taking too long to get there.
Is that how it is?
That's what I hear. Could not hold up, and the count is 0-2.
It's really been a good pitch for Kerry Wood. That little cutter in on the hands of the lefties. It opens up the whole plate now. Wood could go with a fastball away, a curveball down, fastball up and in.
John, why do catchers stand up when they want the ball high? Why can't they just reach their glove up? By standing up, aren't they almost tipping the batter off? Can't he feel that?
You know, some batters, they can feel it. I mean, you got to do it in a way, obviously, that you're not giving it away. I would always go with a little half stance and, like you said, raise my glove up a little bit higher.
There's a swing and a miss on a breaking ball, and Pena down on strikes.
It's just a nice at-bat right there for Kerry Wood. Kind of showed Pena everything he had. Finished him off with a nice combination of a high fastball to show it, and then you come back with a curveball down. Swing and a miss.
Here's B.J. Upton. Count 1-0. So far today, Upton 0 for 2 with a walk.
Kerry Wood's having a little problem with his glove. Going to tighten some laces up.
Hey, John, what did you think over the weekend where the Cubs rookie Tyler Colvin got hit in the chest with the short of a bat? You almost wonder why it hasn't happened more. And the bat actually punctured his chest and sent him to the hospital.
And it was one of those maple bats again, right, which baseball's been having such a problem with.
Right at Jeter. 2-away.
What did I read about it, though? It didn't really, there was no blood. It was just a big gash where the...
I think there was some.
There was.
Yeah, and it wasn't a huge puncture, but it was a puncture nonetheless. So it's just very, very scary, and he's not going to play for the remainder of the season. He's in stable condition in a hospital in Miami. He's going to stay there a few days for observation. That ought to be a fear of yours as a catcher with broken bats. Didn't Mike Scioscia come up with that piece that drops down?
Steve Yeager,
yeah.
Dodger catcher. That was always a big concern, and you see now with Cervelli's mask, you can see a little bit of piece of steel that hangs down that protects your throat. That was always where I would be nervous with broken bats or foul balls somewhere around the neck area. It's a good look at that little extra piece on the mask.
The 0-2 popped up. Wood was calling, but he's called off by Teixeira in a 1-2-3 inning for the Yankee right-hander. So we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. And Nash saves lives as the Yankees win 8-5 or lead 8-5. Of the game, why get a car when you can own a Land Rover?
Curtis Granderson responsible for the drives of the game. The bottom of the 3rd, a 2-run shot, his 20th. Then later on in the 6th, his 21st, a 3-run shot off the foul pole. 5 RBIs on the night. Curtis Granderson, your drives the game.
John, you ever have 2 home runs in a game?
Yes.
How was that?
It was a fantastic feeling. I remember hitting 2 home runs in a game in Baltimore, playing for Joe Torre, and then being pinch hit for at the end of the game.
Really?
Yeah, Ruben Sierra went up there to hit for me after hitting 2 home runs, and I viewed it as great managing, knowing there was no chance I was going to do anything else in that game after you hit 2 home runs.
Speaking of 2 home runs, here's Curtis Granderson. They are not pinch hitting for him as he goes for his 3rd.
It's a little dig.
No. How did Ruben Sierra do?
I think he popped up.
You could have done that.
Very easily.
You're being modest. You had 7 2-home run games. That's big. Now, the second home run on some of those games, did you go 1 flap down? I mean, really milk it?
Yeah, that was me. Actually, I remember this Baltimore game, though, because my younger brother Keith, who you have met, used to take a trip every year, as you see the numbers for Mike Ekstrom. And he would take a trip with like 30 of his buddies, and they happened to go to Baltimore for this weekend. I had 2 home runs in the game that they were at.
Very cool.
That's called representing for your brother and his friends, showing up, getting it done, and then getting pinch hit for it.
That must have been a thrill for them.
It was great. And in Baltimore, you know, you were just there. The seats for the friends, which I got for my brother and all his friends, were like 30 of them were out in right center field. So when I actually pulled these home runs down the left field line, as you run around first, I was able to give a look out to right center field as they were going nuts.
Count 2-2 on Granderson. Mariano getting ready. It's a 3-run lead for the Yanks. And the count 3-2 to Granderson. Now your brother and his friends, they didn't let you buy that night, did they?
I bought that whole weekend. I bought the tickets. I bought the hotel rooms. I bought the sodas after the game.
3-2. And Granderson continues his big night with a walk. Tonight after the postgame, Yes looks back at 5 amazing days with the premiere of Hope Week Remembered. Meet the inspirational people involved, their moving stories, and the generous Yankees team that made it all possible. Hope Week Remembered premieres tonight after the postgame. It's only on Yes. Now the home runs are on August 16th of 2003 as Mark Teixeira digs in. Now, did you see this card that was handed to me?
I did not.
All right, can you tell me who they were hit against?
Baltimore in 2003.
One's a brand name, but you don't connect it with Baltimore, really.
No, I have no idea.
Runner goes. Throw to second. Great night for Granderson continues as he steals 7.
John Jaso no more as an offensive catcher behind the plate, and Curtis Granderson takes advantage. It's a great jump. 12th stolen base of the year, and you can see Jaso coming out. Little short arm throw. Short hop to Longoria.
The pitchers were John Parrish and former Cy Young, Pat Henkin.
Pat Henkin. Actually, Pat Henkin was my first major league home run, so he's in the book twice.
The 1-2. Outside 2-2. Mark Teixeira 0 for 4. And he's struggling. He's banged up. He is 5 for his last 34. He's got the broken pinky toe on the right foot, sore right thumb. 2-2. That one is driven out toward left field, giving Chase Crawford toward the line. He reaches in and he makes the play. Nice play by Crawford for the first out. Well, when you're going bad, they make plays like that.
Crawford does a nice job of getting to the wall and reaching into the crowd. A little padding on that wall makes it a little bit easier, but you can see no fear on the part of Carl Crawford right there. Contact with the wall.
And the ball had contact with the fan's hand, but still made it into the glove.
Oh my God, I think the Yankees are looking for Mark Teixeira tonight to have a little bit more snap in his swing, but it still looks like that right hand is bothering him. Kind of dragging the bat through the zone a little bit tonight. A couple of fly balls to center field, and that one there to left.
Here's Alex Rodriguez. Count 1-0.
I'm sure that's got to be a concern. You try to give a guy a couple of days off and see if that helps him out. It doesn't look like it did tonight.
Alex with a sac fly tonight, his 112th ribby. Breaking ball swung and missed. So final in Boston is Bucks Orioles continue to win 4-2. over the Red Sox. Another breaking ball, moving away from the swing of A-Rod. Count 1 and 2.
Yeah, good slider. It looks like Alex having a tough time picking up the spin. He had trouble picking up the spin and is waving at that slider, not happy. See if Ekstrom goes with it for a third time in a row.
Rounded to short. Bartlett gets A-Rod for the second out. Here's Cano. Cano is 0 for 3 and was intentionally walked. Ekstrom deals the 1-0. That one's chopped to second. Zobrist to Pena, and that'll do it. No runs, no hits, no errors, and one man left. The Rays are coming up. They'll have to do it against Mariano Rivera. They're down by 3. Brought to you in part by Acura. Acura Advance. By Hager, established 1926. Your own great moment starts at Hager.com. And by Avis, the official rental car company of the New York Yankees. See that in the background behind the Avis logo, John? That's where your New York Jets won yesterday against the Patriots at the new Meadowlands Stadium.
It's a big win.
Big win. Thanks to the people at Goodyear. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Fuel Max tires help you get there on less gas. That was a big win. Mariano Rivera comes on to try to close this out. It is a save situation. Last save situation he had was yesterday, and it didn't happen for him. He gave up that home run to Luke Scott leading off the 9th inning. Those are the numbers on Mo.
And that pitch to Luke Scott was a cutter down and in. Mariano said after the game he didn't want that pitch to be down. He wanted it to be up a little bit.
There's a strike.
Shattered bat and a ground ball into Sheriff. 1 away. Hey, after the last out, Bob Lorenz and Jack Curry break it all down on the WB Mason postgame. Get highlights and analysis from this game with the Rays, including the latest updates on the standings. Plus, Kimberly Jones will get the reaction from the clubhouse. It's all coming up after the final out, only on Yes. Here's Ben Zobrist. The Yankees and the Rays played a nail-biting series in St. Pete last week. All 3 games came down to the final pitch. And then the Yankees went to Baltimore and took 2 out of 3, and the Angels took 2 out of 3 from Tampa Bay. That one is skied down the right field line. It is a fair ball. And that's going to bounce into the seats for a double for Zobrist. Zobrist, who has been struggling, 2 for 24 coming in, is 3 for 5 tonight.
Again, a cutter, and again, it's down and in. It's a lot easier for a lefty to drop the bat head down and in against Mariano in that cutter.
Ooh, is that a foul ball?
Maybe if it...
Wow. I'm going to take another look at that. That looked foul. First base umpire, Mike Everett, didn't think so. Here is Carl Crawford. Pitch is high. Now, this is another angle. I guess he sees some chalk come up, but it didn't look like it hit the line. Maybe
got
just
a piece
the
of
edge.
the line.
Yeah.
Got a piece of the line.
It was fair. Good call. A 1-0. 1-1. That's one of the reasons they still chalk the lines down there rather than have the lines embedded into the field, because they need the chalk to spray up if it's that close. You gotta have steady hands to chalk those lines. One little deviation, you can mess up the pennant race.
See if Mariano can elevate a cutter here, maybe middle of the plate, but go high. Make sure you don't throw one down. Try to go for the backdoor cutter and just missed. Francisco Cervelli thinks Carl Crawford may be a little bit too far back in the box. It looks like he's in pretty good shape there.
The 2-2. Foul back. The 2-2. Right in on the hands and fouled away. That was when he hit the glove earlier. On that swing. So now Cervelli much more cognizant. And that's the type of swing that Crawford has. The 2-2. Foul back. They're making more work.
Yeah, he's having a good at bat right here. He's covering everything out and up. Still think Mariano would be able to get him to chase a cutter up out of the zone. You look at Crawford's face when he gets in there, Michael, and hits. He just competes. You know, he's not going to give in. He'll make you earn it.
Tapped out toward A-Rod. Across the diamond for the second out. And the Rays are down to their final out. "14 games between these two teams previous to this one, and the Rays lead the series 8-6. This will close it to 8-7 and also give the Yankees a game-and-a-half lead in the American League East." Joe Madden against Joe Girardi. Here's Evan Longoria trying to keep it alive. Count 1-0. That one is looped to right field. That's going to dunk in for a base hit to keep the Rays alive. Zobrist will score. It's a bloop RBI single for Longoria, and it's 8-6 Yankees.
It's a thing of beauty if you're Evan Longoria. You just fight off a little cutter, maybe a two-seamer. Fight it off. The other way, you're going to get a base hit and RBI. More importantly, you bring Dan Johnson up to the plate. One swing of the bat, he could possibly tie this game up. Mariano can't believe it.
"102nd ribby." Check that, 101st ribby for Longoria. Longoria goes. That run means nothing. He'll take second on defensive indifference. The 1-0. 2-0.
Last week against Phil Hughes, a couple of home runs for Johnson, so he's got plenty of power. He mentioned 30 in the minor leagues. So Mariano tries to keep the ball away or run that cutter in on his hands.
And he misses away in the count 3-0. Matt Joyce is on deck. So the crowd getting restless, and Joe Girardi getting restless. The Yankees trying to close this out. And the 3-0. Strike. Three-1 pitch. Right in on the hands. It's popped up. Cervelli back to the screen. He can't make the play. Kind of skimmed off the screen on the way down. Quick hands on the scoop. Yankees lead, top of the ninth. Tying run at the plate. 3-2. I don't know if it was a walk or a hit by pitch. I think it was a hit by pitch. So he'll take first. Now the tying runs are on base, and that's going to bring up Matt Joyce.
Going with the cutter in, they elevate it, and it looks like he gets a piece of the right forearm of Dan Johnson and then gets Cervelli. Johnson's night is done as we're going to have a pinch runner, and Matt Joyce comes up with a chance to be a hero.
Desmond Jennings, who's probably the guy who's going to take over for Carl Crawford if he leaves as a free agent, will pinch run for Johnson, and they want him to be able to score on an extra base hit. So Dave Island with a trip out to Mariano. What can you say to Mo?
I think that's just a classic case of, hey, we're going to give you a little breather right here. Let's regroup. You know, you don't tell Mariano anything. He knows what he's doing out there, but just gave him a little break.
Here's Matt Joyce, 0 for 3 with a walk. And there's a strike. Joyce is 0 for 4 lifetime against Rivera.
Mariano has done a good job, and the Yankee staff with Joyce really keeping the ball in off the plate, and Joyce has been swinging at those pitches. And be careful you don't make a mistake middle in.
The 0-1. Just missed outside. 1-1.
Looked like Mariano wanted that backdoor cutter. Again, he didn't get it. Tim McClellan, home plate umpire, will take a look. It looks like it comes around the plate. Jess misses.
First and second, 2 outs. Yankees up by 2. 1-1 to Joyce. Hit sharply to first. This'll do it. Teixeira Fields touches the bag, and the Yankees win 8-6. On a night where the Yankees honor George Steinbrenner by unveiling a monument, they honor him in the only way that he would ever care. They get him a victory, and his team moves a game and a half in front of the Rays for first place in the American League East. You got to stick around for the post-game show to find out who's tonight's Chevy player of the game. So it was a little rocky there, John, but Mariano nailed it down for the save.
Yeah, Mariano picks up the save. More importantly, the Yankees pick up the win in the updated standings, a game and a half lead. Curtis Granderson has a big night for the Yankees with a couple of home runs and 5 RBIs, and the bullpen does its job holding on.
So it took 3 hours and 19 minutes, but the Yankees nailed this one down 8-6. They led 4-0. They gave that lead away, but they went back up and they held on for an 8-6 victory, and one of the heroes of the game for the Yankees, obviously Curtis Granderson. A magical game for him, 2 home runs and 5 ribbies, and he is with Kim Jones. Kim?
It was a magical night for Curtis, Michael. Curtis, fair, foul? Were you hoping? Were you rooting?
Right away, I was hoping it'd stay fair, and then as it started to dart towards the foul line, I was like, just hit the foul pole. That way we don't have any questions with the replay or anything like that.
And that 3-run jack, a huge hit in this game. How did it go that far? What did you see on that pitch?
I'm honestly not sure. Actually, the situation ended up helping me out. With runners at second and third, I was really just trying to go ahead and move the runners over and get a run in. And as I did that, I ended up being out in front of a baseball and ended up driving it out.
You all also came back right away after the Rays had tied it. That's always important, isn't it?
Definitely. It's difficult when you go ahead and each team is battling back and forth and trying to go ahead and pick back up the momentum. And both teams had to go through that tonight, and everybody was going back and forth. You saw it again here in the bottom of the ninth. So just got to go ahead and keep grinding it on both sides of this thing and never quit on it, because it's never going to be over until it's finally done.
I don't have to remind you the series these two teams played last week in St. Petersburg. How big is it to get the first one in this 4-game set here at Yankee Stadium?
It's always a good thing to go ahead and get off to a good start, but realizing that we got to come back and do this thing all over again tomorrow night, it's definitely going to be another tough game, and things can even out really quick in this series, so definitely can't take anything for granted. Come out and try to go ahead and apply the same pressure and see where we're at the end of this thing.
And as we send it back to Michael Curtis, I know you're in your first year as a Yankee, but this was the kind of game the boss would have loved, and you guys honored him properly before the game.
Oh, definitely, and I didn't get a chance to meet him, but getting a chance to see all his family out here before the game and all the people that came out to show their love and support and all the fans being out here for it. Definitely a great day for everybody here, the Yankees organization, and all the Yankee fans worldwide.
Curtis, thank you so much. And Michael, as you said, he would have loved the win.
Absolutely. That's what he cared about. So he got a victory tonight. His team did at least 8-6. Curtis Granderson, a big part of it, 2 home runs. He now has 21 on the year and a career high tying 5 runs batted in. Yankees win 8-6. We've got some more awards to give out.